aby twoje wydarzenie wyglądało jak finał Mistrzostw Świata? Wiemy, co pokazać na ekranie, zanim widz zdąży o tym pomyśleć. Ragnar Simulator. Od idei do transmisji.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Virtual Drift Masters. My name is Jonathan Tiny Jarboe. I'm here with my partner in crime, Alec. His new dad. And you have your cat with you. What's up?
Look, to be honest, I told him he should not be here for this. Daddy's got to put in some work, but even my cat is so excited for this last round of finals to see who's going to take home the grand prize in this tournament. So I'm happy to be back. New family wearing the shirt not new family, that'd be sociopathic. New family member. So I'm representing with the girl dad shirt. And then my cat's going to join in for some of the fun. He doesn't talk like I do, but he's just going to watch along.
That's fantastic. Well, it just caught me off guard how I was just staring right at the camera. But hey, welcome to Virtual Drift Masters. This is the final round for the virtual side. We do this every 2 weeks prior to real Drift Masters. We actually have Drift Masters drivers competing in the series, but we're at the final round. The winner gets the chance to go to Poland. Here we go. We went through all these dates here. We went from round 1 all the way to round 7. We started at Italy, going all the way down to the final, which is Poland. Ferropolis was insane last round. It was exciting. And now we get to see the prize pool. First place for each round is 1,000 euros. Going to first place of the season, 1,500 euros in a VIP ticket to Poland, and they get a whole VIP experience. I'm super excited to see these guys thrive. Right now, we have the layout. Alec, run us through it.
So look at this pre-start. We have a rolling start as we do a feint initiation into the first outside zone. Proximity to every single wall is going to be important here. We got one inside clip there, one inside there, again with an inside wall, and then back to an outside sweeper as we enter outer zone 4, and we come across the line in the middle of the circuit at outer zone 5. Or no, never mind. We keep going. Outer zone 6, all the way across that last. The first corner that you entered is actually the last corner as you leave across the finish. So lots of driving. Pretty lengthy course here, as you can see. This area right here allows you to get up to speed, and then right here, this initiation is pretty tricky because you're scooting up against the wall right at the beginning. So a lot of drivers are gonna have to set the tone and really gamble on how aggressive everyone's gonna be on that initiation. Coming here, you just don't want to be greedy on the inside clip because you'll end up hitting a wall in the front of your car. Do a pretty good amount of damage there on the outside zone here. You're looking to set yourself up. A lot of courses are very popular like this with the figure 8. So coming across these outside zones, I think are going to be great. But the transition opportunity here is where it's a lot wider through the center of the course. So I'm sure we're going to see a lot of action with drivers choosing to do calculated surges and dives on each other to close the gap in time for that one last sweeper and across the line, hopefully make a difference in the eyes of the judges.
And we have the one and only Rose Penelope. She's going to be doing the interviews today. Rose, coming into this round, what's your excitement? What are your thoughts? Give us a rundown.
Oh God. Well, guys, my emotions are all over the place today. Right, we've so much going on. I'm excited. It's the final. I'm very nervous for the final fight. And then I'm also sad because it's our last show together this season. So, I mean, looking back, reflecting, it's been amazing. Kudos to our drivers. They've given it 110%. And yeah, I'm just really happy to be able to be here for the final round.
Well, we're always happy to have you around doing your interviews. It's been fun. It's been exciting, especially when you're doing the after action. Like, what was it, that last round when Alan Hines, you saw the emotion come through and he was able to kind of run through the emotions.
Exactly, yes. And we're going to catch up with Alan again in a few moments. An interesting topic I want to cover with him. And then obviously he's in the fight for the championship. So it's going to be really good to catch up with him.
Well, that's been absolutely insane. Alec, Alec wasn't here last round because he was a new dad. He had to get excited for that. But we've had a plethora of coasts this season, which was fun to experience different energies. Even last round, a fan of the Virtual Drift Master Series who was a commentator for a different series joined in, and that's super exciting. How are you feeling with the changing of the host? What does it bring compared to the real life drifting community, Rose?
Well, I mean, it's good to have a bit of variation, right? Where you can have all these people just jump in to different roles. They have all the knowledge. They've been watching drifting for years. They sim drift themselves. So it's just, it's an asset. And I think it's just making this series even better and better.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, I think the judges are getting ready. We're going to see the season standings before the top 32. And here we go. Daniel Andrev and Sullivan in the fight, as well as Alan Hines is in the third place spot. But this is anybody's fight. I think up till fifth place. What do you think, Alec, on this standings?
Yeah, I mean, first and second place are obviously very competitive with each other. The biggest thing in drifting that can just change the table so quickly is that you're only as good as your last run. You go into one of these battles and it's just, 1 versus 1 battles in a bracket style competition. So even early on, if you make a single mistake, you're an inch off of your game as far as where you come against the wall, especially on a track like this. It can cause a collision. You can end up out of the competition, and then everyone else is able to try and vie for their position in the series. So I think right now you're a little nervous because hopefully, in this sport, you really want to try and establish a pretty big gap going into the finals. If you leave it down to the finals, then, there's a lot of skill involved, but you're almost also anticipating a little bit of luck in order to hope that fate is going to be on your side.
Yeah, it's insane too. And I'm looking at this bracket. Sullivan is going against Tyler Duck, and he's a very big underdog in this. That's a David and Goliath battle. I'm excited to see that. You also have Simon Sandman versus Adrian Roncero. They've been going at it throughout the whole series. And then you have Wallman versus Pelinkovitz, as well as you have one of the virtual drift masters he is, but also real life drift masters Zawiski is going to be competing today. So it's going to be exciting to see him back here. Last round, I think he was knocked out in qualifying. So I'm super, super pumped for this round. Always.
Yeah, me too. I think there's a lot of skill to offer. I think we're going to see a big show. And if you've been following us throughout the series, what you've noticed is a lot of familiar faces returning to competition every single round. So these guys are starting to get to know each other. We hope you're starting to get to know them too. And definitely by now, there's some fan favorites out there.
Oh, yeah. Well, with that being said, we're going to do a quick commercial, and then we're going to jump into the interview with Rose with Alan Hines.
Oh, the shadow packs the wall, almost throws it away as Heinen backs it in across the line. Unbelievable again. What a final. What a finish. Rory Heinen is your 2024 champion.
Chcesz, aby twoje wydarzenie wyglądało jak finał Mistrzostw Świata? Wiemy, co pokazać na ekranie, zanim widz zdąży o tym pomyśleć. Ragnar Simulator. Od idei do transmisji.
Guys, I'm here with a familiar face, our third in points overall, and he's here for the fight. It's Alan Hines. Alan, welcome back, and thanks for joining us again.
Thanks so much, Rose. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. So, Alan, the obvious topic today, right? Change of car for the last round. Please enlighten us as what made you make this decision so late in the championship.
Yeah, look, I've been struggling with the S chassis all year. I think we had an interview there during the season where I said that the last 2 rounds would suit the S chassis a bit better, and I thought from Germany would be, Ferropolis would be a better performance for us. But unfortunately, I just could not, even during practice, get settled. And so I'm back in my old trusty steed, my old horse. Yeah, this Mustang did us pretty good in VDC, another championship during the winter season, and we had a really good season in that. And first event back in the Mustang, and we qualified P1 with a 98. I've been struggling in qualifying with the S chassis. Now we hop into a different type of S chassis, the S650 RTR Spec 5 VDM, and we're back on top and qualified. So hopefully, this gives us a good confidence boost heading into today. Obviously, we've got a tough bracket ahead of us, but we're going to take it one step at a time and see where we end up.
Exactly. And Alan, I think it was a great choice switching the car because it did actually, reflected in your qualifying results. So well done on top in qualifying yesterday. So Alan, another interesting topic. So your wildcard entry for the IRL series next month. So how are you feeling going into that? And how is this particular round, the virtual round, preparing you for the IRL series?
Yeah, certainly. So I think what's very useful in this scenario is that I have a very good indication of what the judges are looking for, like 2 or 3 weeks ahead of the event. So in Virtual Drift Masters, most of the time it's the same judges as what it is in the real world. So the briefing is actually pretty much the same. So I've got some really good insight now for what they want for this event. We'll see how today goes, obviously. I can use that into my training the next couple of days that I have free. What I will say is that for Drift Masters wildcard for me is going to be very special. I will not be driving. This is a VDM exclusive. I will not be driving my S14 in my real car. I will be driving a different car, which is going to be very, very exciting. So we've been super busy getting it ready. We dropped it off for wrapping this morning. It was gone for 6 or 7 hours. I've only had 30 minutes of practice before, hopping back onto the sim here. So we're juggling. We're doing the best that we can, but I'm very, very looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to the trip over to Poland. It'll be my first time there, and I'm very, very excited for it.
That's really exciting, Alan, actually, and I actually can't wait to see what you're going to be driving. So, best of luck in the IRL series next round, and best of luck today, because that's the most important job at the moment. And always a pleasure, and thank you very much for joining us.
Cheers. Thank you so much, Rose.
All right. Okay, back to you, Jonathan and Alec.
Oh my goodness. Alan Hines is gonna be ripping the Mustang. He's they did a collab with RTR, the Formula Drift's Von Gittin team. Right here you have the Stadium of Poland. This has been set up by the Drift Masters crew to make it as close to the real life event as possible. But man, I'm super excited to see a Mustang rip on this track in competition, as well as what's going to happen in a couple weeks time in the real life. Follow the Drift Masters socials and YouTube, as well as the YouTube channel right here. This is where you'll see it. You see right there, Alan Hines green RTR Mustang, the Fun Hours Mustang, and you have everybody else on the line. Alan Hines is going to be competing first. Alec, what are your thoughts, man?
I mean, this has been a long season coming, and most of the drivers have shown that this is not just some put-together series with your local, lobby of Assetto Corsa. This is clearly, some of the best that drifting has to offer when it comes to sim racing. And I think, this series has just been a testament to that, and I think today is going to be as well.
Well, here we go. Alan Hines is going to be in the lead. Kübarsepp in the chase. The first battle of the top 32 here at the final round of VDM at Poland. You got the sim cams on. Gert is to the bottom right. Alan Hines is the bottom left. They're getting locked in. Here we go. You see that Mustang just shredding tires right off the rip. Coming into that first initiation point. Lock into angle. Look at Gert diving into the pocket right off the rip. Now going to inner clip 1. Transitioning to inner clip 2. Going into outer zone 3. Beautiful fill out all the way through. And look at Gert Kübarsepp match an angle as they're going through the middle of the infield, transitioning to the final outer zones. Oh mercy, the aggression from Gert Kübarsepp in the first lap.
Well, we've got our clean start to today's competition, so we've got a great initiation so far. Alan Hines clearly comfortable in that Mustang as he makes his way through the outside zone. Gert is not leaving anything on the table. You think because it's top 32, a lot of people are going to take it easy, but this far into the competition, everyone knows this is their last chance to make a statement in the series, so Gert is putting the pressure from the very beginning as Alan Hines makes his way through those outside clips into this other outside zone. We see Gert always calculating as Alan Hines surges into the zone and then using the wide sweepers to slowly creep his way up on the door. So great job, great calculated driving there from Gert.
And now we're going to have them switch sides. If you've never seen drifting before, they get 1 lap on the lead, 1 lap on the chase to see who is going to be moving on by the judges' eyes. Alan Hines is now chasing down Gert Kübarsepp in the BMW with the Wake livery. Here comes the initiation. Gert right to angle, angling up a little bit, but look at Alan Hines surging in the pocket. Now going into inner clip 1 and then inner clip 2. Now outer zone 2 is beautifully filled out by Gert Kübarsepp. And look at Alan Hines just being very methodical, staying right there in the pocket, giving him enough room. Bumper to bumper transition, going to the final outer zones. Super aggressive from Alan Hines. Doors all the way through the track.
I'm sure in the background there, Alan Hines' spotter and team were letting him know, hey, it may be the first battle, but you've already got your work cut out for you. You're going to need to get really close to your competitor in order to get a chance to win with the judges. So here we see a little bit of a gap there. I'd like to see that a little bit closer. Gert doing a great job crossing across that inside zone. Alan Hines doing the same thing we saw in the previous run where he's setting himself up behind Gert on the wall and then using that big area to transition. This is where we see that surge opportunity that Alan Hines makes great opportunity of right there. He pivots the front of his car and looks to cut into that line just to put himself right up door to door with Gert as they go across that last zone.
This is insane. The first battle, how it feels so in sync. And you see Alan Hines to the left, Gert Kübarsepp to the right. The judges have made a decision. And Alan Hines gets the win and moves on. Wow.
Yeah, it was
Right
definitely
off the rip.
I could understand.
What were you saying, Alec?
I could definitely understand where the judges were coming from on that one. Tremendous driving by Gert, but we just saw the slightest bit more aggression and faster reeling in, I think, from Hines to just get back onto the door a little bit faster. We saw Gert kind of steady his way up throughout these large sweepers especially, and Alan Hines was just, I think he just reeled him in a lot faster every time they got an opportunity to change direction.
I'm seeing a lot of hype in the chats for this first battle, and it's been insane throughout the whole series. We do keep the chat open and we interact with chat. So we have the next battle coming up here, and it's going to be Simon Sandman versus Adrian Roncero. Simon Sandman in the BMW. He actually switched chassis as well, I believe. He's been struggling a lot throughout the whole competition. Here we go. Simon Sandman with the BMW. And here comes Adrian Roncero with the 890 Supra trying to search into pocket, match and angle. And look at Simon Sandman going to inner clip 1 and 2. Now heading outer zone 2. Beautiful angle. Floating right to where he needs to be. Rubbing that back bumper on the wall. Look at Adrian Roncero. Focus, laser focus as he is going to the door of Simon Sandman, matching the angle all the way through the final outer zones. This today is going to be insane with these drivers.
Sandman did a great job making that look like a textbook example run as he comes through here. We see a bunch of different styles here where we see the front driver sometimes wanting to just drift all the way to the first corner, where sometimes the chase driver just wants to drive behind them just to be able to initiate under control. And we see right here a little bit of a gap. Ranceros does a good job at reading the situation, looking for that opportunity to get closer. But I think he needs to be a little bit more aggressive because we know Sandman is also a great lead and chase driver. So we'll have to see Sandman doing a couple wobbles there. But for the most part, keeping in the pocket. So still a great run, something to be proud of. And we'll see what Sandman's going to do with that.
Yeah, I'd love seeing Adrian's. He was matching and mirroring the angle of the lead driver throughout the whole competition. Didn't have as much proximity, but definitely was insane to watch. But here we go. We got them switching sides. Adrian Roncero in the lead, lighting off the tires right off the rip, going into that first initiation. And Simon Sandman makes contact with the wall in the initiation, possibly got lost in the smoke, and then going into the inner clips, going to the outer zone 2. All the way through, and now Simon Sandman is giving them pressure all the way through the middle, going into the final outer zones. Huge surge. Oh, contact made by Simon. Unfortunate for him. Huge mistakes for him in the chase.
That looks risky. Unfortunately, Sandman might be putting his chances of his further participation in this sport tonight to sleep. Get it? Because Sandman. The biggest thing is, if you're new to drifting, when you see that first corner, there's a line that goes across the track where the drivers are expected to be fully committed in drift, and that's where he hit the wall fully straightened. Right here, either he's already knows that he's lost, or he's just trying to be aggressive to make the difference, but he goes for the too aggressive of a surge. Really unfortunate, because we know Sandman has been someone we've seen advance into later levels of each competition, and I think, unfortunately, the judges will have to look closely at that, and it may count against him.
Sandman to the left, Ronto to the right. I see in chat, too much commitment. Possibly. Here we go. The judges have made a decision. We're waiting for them to show it on the screen. And Adrian Ronto gets the win and moves on. I love how Adrian is like leaning back like a 90s hip hop song. Like, drifting is insane. Some of these guys have their rigs set up to be pretty similar to how a drift car is in real life. He's there chilling on the block.
Speaking of real life and the sim, I mean, the amount of pressure these drivers have, I mean, look at how packed that stadium is. I mean, if you think that it's scary to see all the people watching from home, just absolutely sold out stadium. And I can only imagine they just want to impress all the two-dimensional fans just as much as they do you guys at home.
We have Daniel Andrev going to be battling Jacob Don. Daniel Andrev been absolutely stellar throughout the whole series. One of our youngest competitors here. Here he is. He's going to be leading. Jacob Don is going to be in the chase. Andrev coming in with a nice initiation to that first outer zone. Lights off the tires and gets a back bumper on the wall. Diving into inner clip. A little midline to both of the inner clips as they're going to outer zone 2 of this track. And look at Jacob Don. Not afraid of this fight as he is going to the outer zone 3 into the final 2 outer zones. Jacob Don is doing a fantastic job as a wild card in this series. Oh, mercy.
There we can see another display. Most of these drivers being able to fully land that commitment as they come up against the wall here. Great job on the lead, getting really close, using that left foot brake to just modulate and steady himself as he comes around the wall. Looking for that opportunity to get closer. Here's that chase driver looking to reel in, sacrificing a little bit of angle just to keep that proximity. The lead BMW is just so quick as he comes across this course. Doing a great job making his way through these other outside zones. And we see the best thing here is being able to stay with that lead driver without having to cut the line too much. You want to be able to stay close while also staying in that pocket and shift it just slightly back to really show a mastery of your ability to stay close.
You know, we have them switching sides. We have Armand Vestamanis in the chat, another competitor of VDM. He says those walls do bite. So here we go. Let's see if Andrev bites to the door of Jacob Don as Jacob Don is going into that first outer zone. Look at Andrev right there in the pocket of Jacob Don, pushing him around the track. Inner clip 1 is good. Inner clip 2 is fantastic. But look at Andrev diving right back into the pocket of Jacob Don, using that front tire to rub on the front quarter panel of the lead driver, going into the final 2 outer zones. Absolutely stellar from Daniel Andrev. 5 letters, 1 word, doors.
I know Don likes to drive with some honey roasted peanuts in the cup holder, but Andrev was so close he was reaching inside of his car to taste some for himself. He said, that's pretty cool, let me try some. He's there in his car with him from the beginning all the way to the end. He is not afraid of commitment. He knows there can be consequences, but he fully commits instead of hitting a wall and bailing out like Sandman or my dad. And here we see him come across the line, across this outside zone, transitioning aggressively again, and he's staying pushed back in that pocket while pushing up against the door. He just continues to check up with the wheel well, making marks all over his door.
I'm gonna give you a hug next time I see you. Daniel Andrev to the left, Jacob Don to the right, and Daniel Andrev gets the win. Oh man. Oh man, I was not expecting that. You caught me off guard with your cat, and now you caught me off guard with your commentary. We have our next battle coming up here. We have Brandon Patrick versus Steven Jarboe. Steven Jarboe representing the AOM guys, and they have been at work. That team has been doing a fantastic job in the sim community and in real life. But yeah, Brandon Patrick with the Z4, he's been doing a great job too in the competition, comparing to what he's done last season. And you have him set up, locked in the lead. Here comes Jarboe in the chase with the RX-7. As they're going into this first initiation point, beautiful angle. A little bit of a waiver from the lead car, but look at Jacob. Jarboe is absolutely insane. He just dived into the pocket, wavered with Brandon Patrick, but now he is coming into his second outer zone, now putting that tire on the door, going into his power alley to the final outer zones. Absolutely stellar from Jarboe, the American-made drifter here at VDM.
Jarboe is about to file a harassment suit because Patrick was setting a strong sentiment right at the beginning of the run, looking to get nice and close to his door. At first, lead driver is probably asking himself, is that DK behind me? And he goes, no, this is Patrick. And he sweeps up by the door once again, get nice and close. Good initiation through every single corner. We see a little bit of bobbling. We'd like to see a little bit less of that and proper angle matching. So there's still definitely opportunity there for Patrick to clean up if he makes his way further in this competition, because we want to see him close, but also at the same angle coming around each corner. So still a little bit to work with.
Well, we'll see how Brandon Patrick does in the chase. I'm super excited to see him. Alec, here we go. Steven Jarboe in that green RX-7 coming into this first initiation. Oh, a little too spicy from Brandon Patrick. He over-rotated, almost sends Steven Jarboe, mock Jesus, into the wall and going into outer zone 2. Beautiful fill out as they're going into his power alley into the beautiful final turn. And Brandon Patrick's trying to get spicy, gets to the door of Steven Jarboe, and Steven Jarboe is just using that left foot brake to modulate and keep that angle all the way through that track.
Was really looking forward to the volley and the comeback here, but unfortunately that initiation was as messy as this season of Love Island. And so we see him come in, a lot of angle coming in. He ends up being able to keep it intact, but unfortunately he scrubs a ton of speed. He stays in drift, so it's not a complete zero, but unfortunately it's just too much to come back from, I think. I think the judges are going to look at this and just see that, you know, it gave him a huge gap. He tried to reel it in. It clearly was an unintentional mistake by the chase driver, and, you know, they'll measure the mistakes back and forth, but that is a pretty major one.
Man. And there you have it. You have the Strom wheels. One of the sponsors here at Virtual Drift Masters. I appreciate you guys being an absolute performer here, as well as Money and Ragnar Simulators. You got the two cars here. Brandon Patrick is to the left. Steven Jarboe to the right. And Steven Jarboe gets the win and moves on to the top 16. You got the chat talking about your Love Island comment.
Hey, look, I don't watch it. The wife happens to watch it. I was just walking by, happened to catch a couple minutes of it. And then I had to tie my shoe, and I was already there, so, you know.
I don't know. The other day you were like, I gotta watch this next episode of Love Island. But here we go.
I'll deny it.
We got Darius Austriaca. Don Austriaca is going to be in the lead. And Omar is going to be in the chase. We're halfway through the left side of the bracket. Darius Austriaca coming in with that BMW and the sim cam. That is Omar. But look at Darius going into that first outer zone. He's been an absolute stellar performer throughout the season, and Omar has his work cut out to him as he is diving forward in the pocket. Oh, a huge correction from him, but still super aggressive in the chase. Darius is doing an absolutely gangster approach, going to this final outer zone, locked to angle, and Omar's being super aggressive all the way through, unfazed by this previous warrior.
We saw a little bit of the camera there with Omar wearing the VR headset. I actually have never seen one that large before. He looks like a hammerhead shark, but we can see him coming through the first section looking to get a good chase. And what he does right here, we see him look like he almost loses or miscalculates here a little bit through the smoke. A lot of this is anticipating what that lead driver is going to do, so we see him surge really aggressively, and then he checks up the brakes really quickly. I commend him for not making any contact, but definitely right there, I think it was a little bit of a confidence shatter as they come through the rest of the course. He's kind of bobbling and adjusting himself. So other than that, he does a pretty aggressive job. You know, looks like at every given point he was doing an input to try and put it back on the rails, but definitely could have seen a cleaner run from him.
Yeah, it seemed like he was very cautious to the chase. As cautious as some of the viewers think of you not watching Love Island. Here we go. Vitali is in the first outer zone, and then Austriaca in the chase, right there, holding the pocket, matching the angle, going to that first inner clip. Looked like he punted that inner cone, but look at Austriaca. Oh, a huge correction from Austriaca. Had to back off a little bit. Now going into his power alley to the final two outer zones. Absolutely phenomenal from Omar as he is going to each zone, and Darius is absolutely sticking it to his door.
So we see right here, definitely the return serve has come immediately. Great initiation here coming across his door here. And definitely looks like the BMW's got a little bit more grip and traction to his advantage. As they come through the rest of the course, you can see he doesn't need to step very forward on the line or sacrifice much angle to reel right back in. We do see a great job by that lead driver doing what he can to just keep it steady and do a textbook qualifying run. But unfortunately, I think due to the mistakes on the last run, that BMW may walk away from this with the advantage because they come across the line door to door, and he was steady the entire time. We'll ultimately see what the judges have to say about it.
Someone said Omar looked like Pyramid Head from Silent Hill. I think he looks like a cyberpunk character, but I could see the hammerhead.
I've never seen a VR headset that large. Oh, Austriaca gets the win. There we go. Yeah, it'd be hilarious if he like started a whole cult over that. Like just like wear like a hood and take it off, and everybody surrounding you is wearing those.
Can you imagine that? Oh my goodness. Here we go. We have the next battle coming up. It is gonna be Wallman versus Peter Pelinkovitz. Wallman out here doing a fantastic job, and he's at his home because there's a bunch of walls, man. Here we go. Peter is going to be in the chase. Wallman in the lead. Wallman getting locked in. Oh, there's another hammerhead. Maybe you're onto something. Here we go. Wallman coming out here, and Peter is going to be chasing down the S chassis as they're going to the first outer zone. He is not as deep as I normally see other drivers, but able to hit inner clip 1, and then a huge correction going into outer zone 2 from inner clip 2, and now going into the chase. Peter Pelinkovitz able to dive into the pocket, match an angle. Oh man, he had to over rotate to slow himself down from smacking into that wall. In the chase, huge mistake there.
A lot left on the table here. We see him initiate into the first corner here. S15 doing a great job. Could be a little bit closer to the wall, playing a little bit cautious, but here we see immediately a lot of bobbling from the BMW in the chase. We see him surge right here, again have to back off, and it's not the first time we see this from him. We see him diving in, constantly making adjustments. It seems like the setup of the car could just be a little bit too twitchy, or maybe it's nerves, but there we see again an aggressive initiation onto the door and then having a big adjustment. So A lot to be left on the table there. There's also some room when they switch for maybe a better proximity to the wall, but what he's got to do right now is just nail a perfect qualifying run, and then that S15 just has to keep some pretty good proximity. So right now the pressure is on.
Here we go. Peter Pelinkovitz is going to be leading. Wallman's going to be chasing down Proximeter as he is going into his first outer zone, right to angle, lights off the tires with that BMW as they're going into his inner clip. Beautiful fill out there, transition. Oh, rubs the front bumper on the wall as they're transitioning to the outer zone 2. A little bit of a correction from the lead driver, but Wallman is chasing him down, matching angle, going to this power alley into the final outer zone. Oh, mercy. The super aggressive surge and matchup angle from Wallman.
S15 doing what they can here to capitalize on that gap that we saw in the previous run. We see a pretty good initiation here, but the BMW is actually doing a pretty good job on redemption run as he comes through this inside clip, sweeps across that outside zone. He continues to leave the S15 in a position to have to close a gap. And we see it just as the S15 starts to reel him back in, especially on these wider transitions, that BMW seems to have a strong suit and starts to pull away again. Granted, it looks like he's sacrificing a little bit of angle to do so, but he knows he had to run away a little bit if he wants to try and make it at least into a one more time, or potentially turn it in his favor. We'll ultimately have to see what the judges have to think about this.
Wallman to the left, and it looks like Wallman gets the win. Great job in performing here. Though the big questionable area here is outer zone 1, where that gap is. You saw Peter actually make a little bit of rubbing, that little gap going into that second part of that zone. That's sketchy. Here we go.
Yeah, and I think people have to get comfortable with it. I remember at one point we had a Spanish-speaking driver, and he was confused because we weren't calling it outer zone 1, and it just caused this whole confidence issue. But you have to be fully committed into every single zone, especially the first one, because it sets the pace for the rest of the run.
We have 2 more battles on the left side of the bracket of the top 32. Next battle is Sam Cuddy versus Krzysztof Rypina. Krzysztof Rypina absolutely doing everything he needs to do throughout the season, doing a great job performing. Sam Cuddy is going to be chasing. Krzysztof Rypina is going to be in the lead. Krzysztof Rypina going into that first outer zone. Beautiful fill out. As Sam Cuddy is diving into the pocket with that BMW. You're going into inner clip 2. Beautiful. Oh, smooth like butter. Going all the way through outer zone 2. Great lead lap from the man, the myth, the legend, Krzysztof Rypina, as they're going all the way through each zone. And look at Sam Cuddy chasing them down. That lead was as smooth as farting through silk.
We pretty much have the exact contrast here of just smooth versus aggressive. This lead run's great. We've seen this S14 compete multiple times in competitions. We see them come across these zones. He's very smooth to get the car seated in position, lock it into the angle he's comfortable with, and then ride right there. But then we see the BMW looking for those opportunities, a little bit twitchy, but he gets the surges done in every single zone. He seems to get himself right there in the pocket. He does a couple nudges. He doesn't throw off the lead driver. He just gets really close, gives him a little nudge to let him know that he's right behind him.
That was insane. One of the smoothest laps we've seen here at VDM. And here we go. Sam Cuddy is now leading. Krzysztof Rypina is chasing down. And we'll see how this battle ends up as Sam Cuddy is lighting off the tires right off the rip, coming in with a nice initiation, going to that first side of zone. Was there contact made? We'll see on the drone camera as they're going to inner clip 1, transitioning to inner clip 2, going to outer zone 2. Beautiful dive from Krzysztof Rypina as they're going all the way through that outer zone 2. Now hitting outer zone 3, beautiful angle, huge snap to angle to the final 2 outer zones from Sam Cuddy. And look at Krzysztof Rypina getting to the door of the lead driver.
Really clean run right there. It looks like we'll have a look at that and whether there was contact or not. It looked like there was a little bit of a nudge, but it didn't seem to unwaver that front driver, lead driver. To see the transition come through here. We look at lots of calculation. Pretty shallow angle here, actually, from that chase driver. Didn't look like it in the other cam, but we can see right there just a little bit of too much caution taken. Would have definitely liked to see a little bit more commitment to the angle there while looking to find position there on the door in the chase. But right here, we still see him come across the line. The judges are going to have to dissect these and definitely look at, I think is one that might fall more in the judges' hands, which is the one thing we always say never to do, because you don't want to have a risk of going one more time or just having them split hairs on the call. So let's see if they were able to swiftly make a decision on this.
Left for Cuddy, right for Rypina. Guy from Escuco.
They are taking a little bit more time, so that tells me they are splitting hairs a little bit.
The amount of detail that comes into these cars is insane.
Yeah, I like to see that gas tank in the back.
Yeah, I feel so. This is pretty sick.
It's a nice fuel cell.
There's a nice fuel cell there.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, America. Here we go. Waiting for the decision from the judges. Sam Cuddy. Oh man, the intensity is crazy. And it looks like a one more time. Wow. I like it.
And still a little bit not unanimous. Yeah, first one more time, not unanimous. We've got two of them, and of course our middle judge there, Matthias, wanted to ultimately go with Rypina. So I mean, very close. Just one more time, voted the same direction. It could have meant that was the end of it. So definitely never want to leave it in the judge's hands. You got to be extra aggressive. It's better to risk it all. But here we got it one more time. Anything can happen. We're back to scratch, and we'll see which driver really wants it more.
Okay, it looks like it was a lead versus lead issue, but here we go. Sam Cuddy in the lead. Sam Cuddy in the chase, going down in this first outer zone. Krzysztof Rypina doing a great job. And the lead with that S chassis getting super aggressive. And look at Sam Cuddy right there. Match at angle, getting super aggressive in outer zone 3. Transitioning to outer zone 4 and 5 all the way through this track. Let's see if that BMW lights off those tires and sticks it to his door, which he does.
Definite visible improvement right there. Here we see that initiation. This time, great job locking onto that outside zone, and we see a great lead run and a much better chase run. Both these drivers had now that last opportunity to just kind of get the nerves out and look at each other and their driving styles to know exactly what they're up against. Right now, the BMW is understanding he can be a little bit more confident following this S14 because he's very comfortable, very steady going into each of the corners. And we see it right here, him nudging, a little bit of that wobbling, but for the most part does a great job matching that angle and getting close.
And now we have Sam Cuddy leading. Krzysztof Rypina is going to be chasing. We got Carbon Drift Team versus Escuco. Going into, another bump on the line. Going to that first outer zone and then transitioning into these two inner clips. Beautiful fill out from Sam Cuddy as they're going to outer zone 2. And here comes Krzysztof Rypina, matching the angle all the way through. Outer zone 3, beautiful. Huge smoke screen going through to the final 2 outer zones. Sam Cuddy is rubbing that front tire on the door, and it's insane.
Rypina doing a good job trying to initiate, but giving Cuddy more bumps than Pablo Escobar took in his lifetime. He seems to continue to hit him there on the initiation, but doesn't do anything to set him off of his game. He does a good job getting into here. BMW, Cuddy doing a great job getting out these outside zones, being a little bit more steady, and we're looking to see the S14 do a faster match of angle, which was a little bit of an issue in the last battle, and he does a better job not fully matching it, but definitely not having as much of that time where he's shallow and kind of calculating and waiting to find the opportunity to surge. So I think it's still definitely one that's in the judges' hands, but too much cleaner runs to judge off of. It may make it easier for them to pick a winner.
See a guy in chat, Red BMW, swang that thing. Yeah, he did. It was absolutely fantastic. And we have a judge's decision here. Left for Sam Cuddy and right for a Krzysztof Rypina. And Sam Cuddy gets the win and moves on.
Yeah, I think well deserved. You know, that aggression kind of rounded out, and he got into a position where he was able to be aggressive but still smooth, and he really prioritized matching angle. The spotter you pick when you enter a competition like that is worth its weight in gold. I mean, when you can hear that feedback of, look, really quickly off of a glance, these are the things you need to work on. This is how you're going to improve your driving, and you can a lot of times dictate that also from the driver's seat, but it's hard to know what's going on behind you when you're in the lead. So that's where that communication can really benefit you.
And we have the last battle on the left side. You have Cameron Mustard versus Mustafa Amini. Mustafa is a wild card. Cameron Mustard has been rocking the same car for so long. The same chassis. Mustafa a little bit nervous. He's getting locked in. Putting the car in gear. Oh, try to jump. And look at Cameron Mustard. Let's see how spicy he'll be in Poland here. Going into the first outer zone, Mustafa bobbles in the chase and now is hunting him down as Cameron Mustard is diving into each inner clip, transitioning to the second outer zone. Beautiful fill up from the spicy Mustard as they're going all the way through into this power alley. Look at Mustafa putting the tire on the door of Mustard, not phased on how experienced Mustard is in the sim community. Oh, mercy!
We knew Mustard was going to be a big force to be reckoned with in this competition, but we see Mustafa enter right here. He came in, I think, a little bit too lax, trusting in that angle. He came in saying Hakuna Mustafa, and he ended up regretting it immediately. He had to come in, adjust his angle, and then from here on out, he was just kind of chasing, getting back into that pocket, getting comfortable. Now, Mustard, very consistent, someone you could definitely drive aggressively behind. So we'll see right here where that opportunity is going to be for Mustard, because I think Mustard had a great lead run. Mustafa right now has to really put down also a great lead run and hope that Mustard isn't going to return fire with close proximity and aggression.
Here we go. Mustafa is in the lead. Cameron Mustard in the chase. Here's a beautiful. Oh no!
Oh!
A little too aggressive on the initiation. He put a little too much space in that drift as he makes contact on the initiation, but now is going through each zone. Give him a good lead, Mustafa. I don't care if you made a mistake there. I want you to be gangster as you're doing on the final two outer zones, because Cameron Mustard wants it to stick it on your door.
Well, it may be Hakuna Mustafa after all, and no worries for the rest of his days, because that might be what ends his and puts him on the trailer for the rest of this season. So we'll see right there, contact on the wall, big mistake. Mustard actually leaning back a little bit after seeing that, and then just kind of slowly reeling in as he sees the opportunity and the safety to get closer. I think right now Mustard knows he just needs to stay clean behind him, because that right there just about rode off the car and the wall. So I'm sure our track officials will be just taking a look at that, maybe adding a fresh coat of paint before the next battle. But right now, that's a tough one to see, especially coming into this competition being the final round. You know, I think right now it's rough when you know that that's not the best you can drive. And as we expected, Mustard right there takes the win and is moving on to the next round of this competition.
Love the sportsman-like approach from Mustafa. When he made contact with the wall, you saw him shake his head. I love the sim cams here in VDM. It brings a different aspect of drifting, of sim drifting, as your cat is staring at the window. How you feeling about the first half of the top 32, Alec?
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely a fan of how this has gone so far. I think what we've known here, and we see this all the time, especially in chat, especially when we've seen other people who just like watch this after the rounds have happened, is, you know, oh, I could do that. You know, these guys, you know, we're just as good. But you got to remember, like, when you're in a open lobby and you're doing this, you know, driving and you're doing lap after lap after lap, a lot of these guys, they come out here and they get one lap or they get 2 laps. And they just do such consistent runs. And we've seen that these regulars that continue to make their way into our top 8, into our final 4 and win, are the same faces. We see Sandman advancing, we see Mustard advancing, we see Alan Hines advancing. I mean, these are people who, especially in the sim setting, there's not as many variables to account for. It's a very controlled situation. You know, there's not as much ambient temperatures, there's not breakdowns going on with your car. Like, so most things are perfect, which means that the margin for error and the margin for mistakes on these drivers is so much more narrow when they get really consistent. So to differentiate yourself against one of these guys who are just so robotic in their way they make their way around the track, it is it's rough. And coming to this competition, I think it becomes a reality check for a lot of the drivers that join for the first time. But ultimately, this is exactly what we wanted as a series. It's going to demand better from our drivers.
Yeah, that's beautifully well put, because what was it? A couple weekends ago, we had the series here in Florida, and man, weather is huge when it comes into drifting. Last year here in Poland, they had to wet the track down because of the rain that was happening. And I just see the semaphore riding on the track, which is hilarious. It caught me off guard. So if you guys have never done a virtual series, there's usually someone controlling the semaphore, which is the lights, to let the drivers know when it's time to go. Seeing just a lone pole driver around the track is pretty funny. And here is our next battle. The diesel-powered Mercedes engine, Joona Warinen, Mercedes 190, versus Steven Hatcher as they're going into his first lap. Coming into the first outer zone. Huge angle. Look at Steven Hatcher already surging in the pocket, being super aggressive, making some taps on the door of Warren, going into outer zone 2. Beautiful fill out, going all the way through, and Steven Hatcher is diving in, massaging the angle, getting that tire where he needs to as they're going to the final outer zones. Beautiful fill out from the lead driver and the chase driver as sticking to his door.
Warren is another one of those drivers that we see regularly advancing through the series. You see that black smoke that is for Black Smoke Racing, that diesel black smoke coming out of the exhaust there. Very cool effect to see on the car, but knowing that you're up against him, you can absolutely chase aggressively, and we see that opportunity completely taken advantage of here. Great initiations on the chase, great dives on the chase. You know, it ends up looking a little bit wobbly, but when it pays off is when you're able to just anchor yourself to the lead driver's door and commit throughout the rest of the corner. So looks like we may not be getting a replay on that one. And I suggested a long time ago that they actually give me model cars of everybody so we could just turn my camera on and I could just like do it with my hands and Hot Wheels, but they nixed that idea. So I apologize. You were supposed to get a plan B, but nobody likes my ideas. So enjoy looking at the drone cam, and we'll just have to all remember how that went. If you'd like to see the Hot Wheels segment as a backup plan, put it in chat that you'd like the Hot Wheels replay.
Here we go. We have Hatcher in the lead and Warren in the chase as they're going to interclip 1, going to interclip 2. Beautiful fill out. Here's the Joona Warren as he is diving into the pocket, getting right to angle with them, rubbing the tire on the door, going to this power alley, going to the final 2 outer zones. Absolutely stellar, but a lot of proximity lost towards the last 2 outer zones.
Warren's Mercedes here, typically one of the quicker cars, but this Hatcher's S13 is just so quick as he makes his way around the track. He's very steady at this sort of mid-angle, but it works for him. He's very clean. He's able to get proximity. He's able to put himself in the zones. And Warren here is having to look to where he can minimize how much he has to cut the line in order to keep that proximity. As we talked about, this transition is a great opportunity to dive in, but it actually looks like he didn't take advantage of that. He just sort of rotated further back on the line, which I think definitely set him up bad for the last zone.
It looked like the lead driver made contact with the wall, too. Hatcher. Oh, man. Here we go. Left for Warren, right for Hatcher. And Warren gets the win and moves on. Man, that's unfortunate. Huge mistake from Steven Hatcher on that outer wall, making contact with it. But now we have our next battle. Virgil Choicets versus Linus Turnquist.
Yeah, if I had to look back at that, I mean, when it comes to Hatcher, his car's pretty quick, and he's not maximizing as much angle as he could around the course. So if you got that much speed to your advantage, go ahead and lean into the opportunity to get more angle. You know, that's just kind of my 2 cents on that. If I were him, I'd look to get that car more comfortable and predictable at a larger angle and try to just make that his more comfortable default as he's coming around the course, because the car is definitely performing well enough that he could keep most of that momentum and benefit in front of the judges by just getting more angle on every part of the course.
And here we go. We got Linus Turnquist versus Virgil Choicets getting locked in. Linus Turnquist is in the lead as he is going into that first outer zone. Beautiful fill out going all the way through. And then here he comes in the inner clip. The inner clip was punted by the chase driver, but going into outer zone 2. Oh, huge correction from the chase. And going into outer zone 3 in the power alley, transitioning to the final outer zone as they're locked in, lighting off those tires here in Poland, getting door to door all the way to the finish line. Great run.
These are two drivers that we regularly see in this competition. We see them also regularly advance pretty far in the competition. So this is one of those times where you cannot make mistakes. And we see the chase driver wobble and fall back a little bit. And we do see a little bit of contact right there, actually. A little rub on the wall by the lead driver. Doesn't seem to affect him very much, though. He stays on the throttle. The judges are looking at how hard people do hit the wall. At a certain extent, it is pretty symbolic of a crash, no matter how hard you do hit the wall. There's no collision physics here, of course, in Assetto Corsa. So it's discouraged to just sort of park it up against the wall. But they'll take a look at that, and, you know, it looked to me like it was a pretty clean one. I'm just putting that out there. But it's going to be anybody's game still. These are two extremely experienced drivers that we see regularly in this competition. So they're familiar with how good each other are as well, and they know exactly what the task is they have to order.
Virgil with the door breakers. And you got Linus Turnquist with Team Awake. Virgil Choicets is in the VR goggles. Here he comes, going in to that first outer zone. A beautiful initiation going to that first outer zone using that e-brake and then lighting off the tires. And look at Turnquist, just matching angle, putting it to the door. Each inner clip going all the way through. Look at the door action right there, rubbing that tire on there as they're going into this power alley. Gives them room, bumper to bumper, sticking it to the door again, all the way through the final two outer zones. Oh my goodness, Linus Turnquist, you're an animal.
That was by far one of the best chase runs we've had so far in today's competition, if not the best chase run that we've seen so far. Great lead driving here, but unfortunately it's just so outshined by the chase right here. And I think right now being able to compare lead for lead is kind of a moot point for the judges, because they both did a tremendous job filling all the zones, having good angle. I think the chase runs are really going to stand out to them. So this might be a trouble position there. If you're the lead driver, you're thinking immediately, okay, then everything I could have done or every mistake I made in the chase is really what's coming back to bite me. But let's see what's going to happen. Is it Choicets? Is it Turnquist's? Turnquist. There we go.
One more time. Oh my God. He smiled at it. He's like, all right, let's get back to it. And luckily they don't have to go to the pits and get the tires changed, because man, you know how it is in real life. It takes a little bit, but all they got to do is press a button. Linus Chase forces the OMT, even with this large lead error on into clip 4, as from the judge, Chris. Wow.
I think right now, Choicets was also, I think, thinking something similar to what I was, because as soon as it went one more time, you sort of saw like a sigh of relief immediately. So I think right now he is understanding, you know, hey, I got another chance. It's time to lock in, and we'll see if he's able to deliver.
Oh my God. A one more time battle here. Absolutely stellar performance from both of these drivers to force it one more time. And here we go. Linus Turnquist in the lead. Choicets in the chase as they're going into this first outer zone, lighting off the tires, putting that back bumper on that first outer zone wall, going to inner clip 1, bang, inner clip 2, cha-ching, going to outer zone 2, beautiful fill out. Oh, a huge correction from the lead driver, but look at choices, sticking to this door, matching angle, bumper to bumper transition, going through that power alley to the final outer zones, huge correction from the chase driver, but now surging into the pocket all the way through the final outer zones.
Take a look at the initiation right here. He understands exactly how close he was chased on that last run of the last battle. So right here, he's looking for every opportunity to try and just keep it close and keep it tidy at the same time. Not as much proximity as we saw on the previous run, but we see him start to slowly reel in. Again, on this transition, this is where you need to surge if you're going to. He does a great job using that to snap to his door. And then with the last corner, he's going to use every little bit that he can to just reel him in right across the finish line.
My goodness. Turnquist is now gonna be chasing down choices in the BMW. Going through the second half of this top 32 bracket has been absolutely spectacular as that initiation. But look at the chase from Turnquist, going into inner clips 2, going to outer zone 2, snapping the angle, beautiful rubbing of the tires, letting them know I'm there as they're going through that power alley and transitioning into the final outer zones. Oh, a huge surge from Turnquist as they're going to the final 2 outer zones. Absolutely insane. I'm sorry for the judges right now.
Yeah, they're definitely having to put in a lot of work. So here, once we see almost like a repeat run of that previous one. Only, of course, I think this time around we see Choice doing a great job getting a little bit deeper into the zones, carrying a little bit more angle, and staying smoother through the course. And meanwhile, in this chase, I really like to see the proximity, but with just the one note in mind, which is you'll see when he surges in, you'll see that when he gets too close, he slows himself down. One of the best things to do in the chase is if you know you have that much more grip and momentum, to go ahead and angle out with all that extra speed instead of necessarily maintaining the same angle and just checking yourself with the brakes. It's much better to try and dissipate that speed by getting that extra angle, because then he can stay just as door to door, but ideally angle match the entire time. So but nonetheless, tons of skill necessary to stay that close throughout the entire run. It's really a moot point just because it is already such an impressive run at that point. But the judges will be splitting hairs, and when you're splitting hairs, every little thing you could do better is really going to be what matters. And we are in the finals, and this is still top 32. So as we see the bracket progress, the other drivers are going to understand that that is where winning and losing really lies, is in those small adjustments you can make.
Well, I can tell you this, a BMW is definitely going to win on this one.
Oh, almost definitely. Probably would bet on it.
Here we go. These guys are just waiting. I see Linus Turnquist gets the win. A huge sigh of relief. I'm pretty sure he's typing in chat GG's. Man, huge sigh of relief from Linus Turnquist. It was absolutely insane. And now we have our next battle coming up here. We got Rob Baczynski versus Andreas Kleinberg. Man, oh man. Baczynski has been absolutely on a tear this season. And he's always been rocking the harness whenever he does his webcam. Let's see if he got his harness on, cinched down tight. And Kleinberg is going to be chasing him down. There he is. There's the man, the myth, the legend, Baczynski with the green racing harness as they're getting ready with this A90. A90 Super coming in here. Different initiation style. We're going into that first outer zone. And look at Kleinberg diving into the pocket as the A90 Super is ripping through this track. Beautiful fill out. Going to outer zone 2. Nice smooth transition. A little bit of a correction from the lead. But Kleinberg is matching it all the way through this power alley to the final 2 outer zones. Getting right to angle. Huge momentum drop from the lead driver as they're going all the way through Man, Kleinberg almost smoked that wall.
And right here with Team Riga, we understand this driver in the chase is extremely comfortable with these fast tracked outside zones. I mean, we saw a very great performance earlier on in the season on other technical tracks, but both drivers are doing a great job stepping up to the plate, filling the zones. But in the chase, especially with those chassis seemingly being so similar, he's having no problem staying up close and matching the angle. There's definitely opportunity to get a little bit closer, and we saw a wobble right there on that outside zone. As he gets in, he seems to grab a little bit too much angle and actually creates his own gap from the lead driver, which is never good. But we definitely see it's still anybody's run right now, because both drivers definitely could have cleaned up a little bit on some things, but overall a really smooth lead run on that first battle.
Racing Team Riga's Kleinberg is going into that first outer zone, showing off some swagger. Going into that first outer zone. Beautiful fill out and the inner clips. Going to outer zone 2 and getting smoked out. Baczynski gets left in the smoke, but Kleinberg needs to finish the lap as they're going to the final 2 outer zones. Absolutely maniacal.
Baczynski right now, wow. Unfortunate. We'll look at the replay and see what happened. We'll have to look at that section of the track and just see if there's any parking lot lines there, because I'm not sure why he chose to park there. You can't park there. But anyways, throughout the rest of the run, Racing Team Riga does a great job. We see him right here fall off, unfortunately. May have just been something simple like a misshift, or just as soon as he made a mistake, he knew he was saving himself from the wall. He just chose to shut it down. But a tough break right there, and Racing Team Riga coming across the line. And I think right now he's just taking a sigh of relief that as quick as the battle began, he is able to find himself a seat in the top 16.
I think his equipment malfunctioned, because he it looks like Kleinberg gets the win, because I've never seen Baczynski like get out of his harness as quick. He might have lost force feedback.
Oh, that's true. And unbuckling his harness really quickly too is also like, you know, if there's a safety concern, if it's a quick release, if he started to notice
maybe his car's on fire.
Some fire. Yep, he might have just decided to unbuckle, get out of there. Always play it safe. We practice safe procedure and driving here at VDM. So if
it was a pedal issue, his pedal.
Okay. Was it a pedal fire issue or just like a mechanical issue?
It was a pedal issue. It wasn't giving an input when he was going through. Oh no, that's unfortunate. But here we go. We got Vitali versus Zawiski. Zawiski is going to be chasing down Vitali. Look at him with the wide monitor. He has his dogs out on the pedal as he is going into this chase. And look at Vitali getting into that first outer zone. And Adam Zawiski is going into that nice pocket right there, transitioning. He knows this track in real life and on sim as he is diving into the pocket, reading the lead driver, getting right to the close proximity. Now going to his power alley, giving him room, bumper to bumper transition as they're going to the final outer zone. Adam is getting absolutely maniacal with the proximity.
This is one that we knew was going to shape up good, because both of these drivers have such tremendous accolades to go along with this series in order to make them a force to be reckoned with. So this lead driver, we know, has been in many rounds and has made it always pretty far, usually seeing themselves in the top 8. But here we can see definitely having to match a tall task in order to come out at the top of this battle, because that chase driver is just operating as a shadow on that car's door. And so this is definitely going to be one that's going to have to be fought for. This seat in the top 16 is going to be well earned.
All right, we got Adam Zawiski. He's going to be going to his first outer zone. I wonder if he's playing Who Let the Dogs Out, because he is coming out here being absolutely insane going to that first outer zone. But huge correction in the lead. But look at Vitali ready to fight through it and seeing what the lead driver is doing. Now getting right to the door of Adam as they're going into outer zone 2. And beautiful fill out to outer zone 3. Nice angle, but there's a lot of space on that transition. But Vitali is able to surge right to the pocket of Adam, going all the way through the final line.
Isaiah doing a good job right here, understanding what just happened on that last run. Here we saw something interesting on that first corner. It just looked like a little bit of a sandbag situation. I don't know if that was caused by lag or braking or just trying to readjust or avoid hitting the wall, but it read very quickly by Isaiah. Does a great job just staying there on the door. You see this transition again, looking for that dive opportunity. He uses it right here to accelerate, get right back in position into the pocket. You see them come across this zone. A tremendous job by both drivers on both runs. The judges definitely have their work cut out for them.
And it looks like Adam right there getting locked in. Last year he had the samurai livery. He changed it up this year. I like that graphic livery, man. Adam, bring that back. Bring that back next year. If you're listening in. We need more of that in the drift scene. And it looks like a one more time from both of the drivers as Adam just stares at the chat and then drives on back to the pits.
Of course, the benefit of the virtual series is that we don't actually have to wait for them to change their tires. They're able to just run it right back at the line. A huge advantage. I love that about doing the virtual series, is that there's no oil on track that has to be cleaned up, no repairs, no tire changes, especially as we get towards the top of that battle or the top of the bracket. That's what really seems to slow down real life competitions.
I get a message from the judges. His super clear OMT for us. Both good leads. But Zawiski misses start of outer zone 1 and 4. Isaiah doesn't fully nail under clip 1 and outer zone 4 entry. Chases are both good, but with teeny errors. Make a clear decision here. And here we go. Vitali Isaiah going into that first outer zone. Beautiful fill out, lighting off those tires. And look at Adam. Adam is going right there to the pocket of the lead driver as he is going all the way through outer zone 2. Absolutely spectacular performance from the chase driver. A little bit of a correction, giving them some room as they're transitioning. Bumper to bumper transition. Going to Vitali Isaiah going into the final 2 outer zones. And Zawiski is getting right there to the door each time.
Right here, we just see it, the control of the car and the ability to just step it up a notch by Adam. Isaiah was doing the best he can to be smooth, but we just see like that control of almost like he knows exactly incrementally how much he's turning up his skill level in order to match the occasion and do what it takes to move on. We see a little bit of wobbling right here on the setup for this transition, but then again, we see the dive. He's cutting a little bit forward on the line to stay close and just measuring, those opportunities, but would like to see that same proximity kept with a little bit less cutting in the line and a little bit smoother. I know it's tough because a lot of these cars are pretty quick, but if there's something that Isaiah can work on, both of these guys are doing tremendous lead runs back to back. So that chase is, I think, where a lot more of that weight and opportunity is to differentiate.
Oh, yeah. And you see Adam coming in with absolute swagger going to that first outer zone. And Vitali Isaiah right there, getting right into the pocket, reading him, and now getting door to door, putting that tire right to the quarter panel, pushing him around outer zone 2. Now transition, bumper to bumper transition, beautiful. And look at Vitali Isaiah getting right to the door, all the way through. Beautiful chase.
It looked good from that cam, but we'll see if it's enough while the drone camera wakes up and flies over to figure out what's going on. We see them come across this next part of the zone. Here we go. We're back with you. And they transition into this outside zone. Isaiah looking to get nice and deep, while also keeping that angle as he comes through this transition. This is the opportunity to try and stay close, predict pretty confidently what the lead driver is going to do, because both these guys are very consistent. And we just see really close door-to-door action there. Ooh, actually a little bit of a rear bumper tap there coming across.
Yeah, was that after the line or?
It looked like it was just coming across it, but.
Hashtag pale gummy. I'm going to message Adam later. What does that mean? Here we go. Vitali Isaiah to the left. Adam to the right. Yeah, drift happens as the title sponsor for Vitali Isaiah. But it doesn't stop for our main sponsors for Virtual Drift Master, Strom Wheels, Ragnar Simulators, and Money. If you guys haven't followed the socials for Virtual Drift Masters and Drift Masters, by all means, check them out. Go to vdm.gp to get all your information for Virtual Drift Masters, as well as go to Drift Masters to pick up your tickets. And here we go. Vitali Izaev gets the win and moves on. That's a tiny keyboard, Adam. Did you see that thing? That was like pocket-sized.
Reminds me of the days of the Sidekick. Remember those things?
Oh my God! I was talking to one of my buddies the other day. So, you know when someone gets that microphone that sounds like a tin can, and I asked him if he's talking on his Sidekick, and he didn't know what that was. It made me age myself. But here we go.
Ouch.
We got Zach O'Sullivan versus Tyler Duck. I brought this up earlier. This is a David and Goliath story. Let's see if Zach O'Sullivan can hold it down. That he needs to make these points to guarantee a commanding lead. He got Tyler Ducky. Great driver, great person to hang out and talk to. Same with Zach, but look at Zach O'Sullivan getting slappy with the angle, going all the way to that first outer zone. Look at Tyler Duck diving into the pocket, now surging into the pocket of Zach O'Sullivan, diving into inner clip 1. Beautiful, a transition, and going into outer zone 2, going all the way through. Oh no, Tyler Duck makes contact with the wall. Now going into this power alley, a huge mistake from Tyler Duck as they're going to the final 2 outer zones. Zach O'Sullivan is able to fight through it and get all the way to the last line.
A rough welcome here to a battle with O'Sullivan. O'Sullivan, one of our points leader, an incredible drive, multiple rounds in the series, has shown up and absolutely dominated. And so right here is the opportunity to figure out where you stack in the competition, and he gets a little bit of an awakening right there as he comes through the smoke, taps that rear bumper, actually taps O'Sullivan as well, and O'Sullivan's able to keep his composure. So right there, that's going to be rough because we know that O'Sullivan's a great chase driver. So that was a moment right there to try and put it all down and try to put some pressure on O'Sullivan. And now I think right now he's about to get a demonstration of, you know, if O'Sullivan's having a good day today, what makes O'Sullivan O'Sullivan?
Yeah, and Tyler Duck already knows he ducked up, but let's see if he'll duck around and find out. Going into his first outer zone into inner clip 1, transitioning to inner clip 2. Now going to outer zone 2. Beautiful fill out. Look at O'Sullivan. Now giving him some space, letting him lead, letting that marinate as they're going through that lap, going to those final 2 outer zones. Beautiful angle from Tyler Duck, and O'Sullivan is getting right spicy, right to the door of Ducky.
It actually looked like O'Sullivan decided to try to be a little bit more calculated and not risk anything, because right here he understood, especially working with the spotters, that some mistake happened. So the idea is not always to just go out there and lay it all down. Sometimes the real better strategy is just to stay within proximity, but still leave just a little bit of distance so you're not risking doing anything that will take you out of the run, and just trying to keep it clean and just an acceptable run, because if the advantage is on your side, you just need to prevent any accidents from happening and allow the judges to make their decision.
And it looks like Zach O'Sullivan gets the win and moves on. Tyler Duck had a great season for who he has been competing against. Been unlucky a lot. But we have our next battles rolling up to the line. Here we go. The next battles is gonna be Nick Kang versus Ernestus Jaku, our last year's champion. Here we go. Jaku is going to be chasing down Nick Kang. Oh, the monkey's on the bench this round. The monkey's getting gains as Nick Kang is letting it hang. Here we go. Going into that first out of zone. Look at Jaku searching into the pocket. Our last year's champion hunting down Nick as they're going to interclip 1. Transition to interclip 2. Almost scrapes the bumper off on interclip 2. Nick Kang does as they're going to outer zone 2. Jaku massaging that left foot brake to keep that proximity. Transitioning. That Ford Sierra is absolutely stellar. Going through each zone's a little bit far away from the outer wall as we would like it, but beautiful lead lap.
These drivers have always done a tremendous job showing up at the competition, and they know each other's driving ability well, so they both know that they cannot be reserved. They have to use every single chance they can to reel in and differentiate themselves in front of the judges. Nick Kang coming across the line, coming across this event, representing the UK. I believe that's the British flag, correct?
Yes.
There we go. Thought so. Yeah, doing it for Princess Diana 28 years ago today is actually when she passed away, so this one goes out to her.
Oh, really?
Absolutely.
Oh, wow.
I just got told that by my phone, actually, so I was like, must be a sign. Time to let everybody know.
Here comes Nick Kang trying to hang onto the door of Jaku as Jaku hits interclip 1, interclip 2, going to outer zone 2. Beautiful fill out all the way through, nice angle, being very consistent throughout outer zone 2, going to this power alley. Jaku, absolutely a class act, a little bit of a correction, but look at Nick Kang hanging onto the door of the last year's champion through the last 2 zones.
Nick Kang's car has always been so comfortable when it comes to just grip and traction and being able to maintain that kind of performance from the car without it being twitchy. A lot of times you're making that sacrifice where if you have all that traction and you're faster than most of the grid, the consequence is that the car could be really touchy and twitchy. And here you see his ability to keep up with Jaku. He does a great job. You not really have to do much work to reel him in. It's more so diving in and maintaining the same angle and just staying right there in the pocket. He does a great job coming across the line. And we will see what the judges say. And there we can see Jaku's brake rotors just glowing red.
Yeah. Here we go. Right for Jaku, left for Hang. See if Hang was monkeying around, and then we'll see what the judges say here. The intensity is real. Was that your cat?
Oh, yeah.
It looks like Jaku gets the win.
Let me let him
Great
know.
job from Nick. It was lead versus lead from what one of the judges told me. They said leads from Ernestus was slightly stronger. So, beautiful performance from Nick Kang this season. Is that the nitrous spray?
No. For someone in the chat said, Slay said, tell your cat. I said, psst, 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 psst. But he doesn't listen to that. He does listen to I have food or here's a treat or stuff like that. He's pretty chonky.
That literally caught me so off guard. I thought you were mimicking the... We got Braden Swan in the lead. Alexander Element in the chase. Here we go. Another AOM member out here with the 370C going into that first outer zone, lighting off the tires. But look at Alexander Element. Element trying to reel it in. Getting into that interclip 2, giving them room, going to outer zone 2. Beautiful angle from Braden Swan as they're going all the way through. Alexander Element is sticking it to his door, giving him some room on the transition. Not a bumper-to-bumper transition that we're used to seeing with the other drivers, but look at Braden Swan just smoking out the arena with that 370.
Is already turning out to be a close one. Swan coming out strong on this outside initiation, locks right into the line, pretty close to the wall, right where he needs to be. Does a great job on both of these inside zones as well. We see him transition here, and Element is a little bit further back than he could be, but we see him make that adjustment right here as he starts to kind of gauge how confident he can be in the chase behind this driver and how predictable he's going to be. He cuts the line a little bit right here to stay close, but Swan, again, doing a tremendous job. I think that was a great lead run and a tremendous qualifying run. Or would make to be a tremendous qualifying run. So Element's got to do a textbook lead as well, and Swan still has some opportunity to close the door.
Second and last battle of the top 32. Here we go. Raiden Swan. Let's see if he'll spread his wings and fly to the door of Alexander Element as he gets close proximity right off the rip. I did see a weird initiation from the chase, but we'll see. And Swan goes all the way through this power alley, getting in the outer zone 3. Transitioning outer zone 4 and 5 is going to be a big key factor on this lap.
It looked like a pretty good run, but the question is that going to be enough to differentiate between the two? Element also does a really good job on the lead run. He's historically done a very good job at his lead runs in the past within this competition. Swan looks like he's a little bit too far back, though. I'd see right now he's further back than I believe Element was in that same section of the course, and here is where he really needs to be committing to getting that door closed, because Element right now, he's not putting down as good of a chase run as Swan did. So going into this run, I think Swan definitely had the opportunity, and I just don't think he may have capitalized on it enough. So we'll have to see right now. Everyone started drifting at one point. At one point, Swan was an ugly duckling, and now he's a swan. And unfortunately, it's not enough for today. Element gets the win, and it's unanimous with the judges.
Damn.
What? It's the children's book. You never heard that story? Do they have that story across the pond? I think everybody knows that one.
That's funny. That is too funny. I've hung out with the AOM members in Formula Drift events and other drifting events in Florida. Next time I see Swan, I'll let him know. Here we go. Stanislav Tarasoff versus Krzysztof Rasa. This is the final battle of the top 32. Stanislav Tarasoff, another heavy hitter here at VDM, going to that first outer zone and lighting off those tires. Oh my goodness, going into that inner clip. And Krzysztof Rasa puts the front tire on the door of Stanislav Tarasoff, giving him a little bump and going right into the pocket, just rubbing that tire on the door, going into this power alley. Absolutely maniacal from both of these drivers. And Rasa gives him room on that transition so he can dive right back to the pocket of Stanislav Tarasoff.
Let's look to see who set the tone better on this first run. As you see that initiation right there, another BMW with Team Petronas doing a good job. Little tap right there as they give a shimmy and they come across his inside zone. Still unfazed by it. Chase driver's going to do what they can to try and close the gap, created a little bit by that correction. So far, not fully matching the angle. He finally seats into it right there, but then it's time to transition. It looks like the transition setting him back a little bit. Huge opportunity lost right there to step forward through the transition and get that gap closed. And we see a little bit tapping there too. So just a little bit of nerves, a little too overwhelmed in the chase, and a pretty solid lead run by Tarasoff.
Here we go. The second half of this battle. Last battle of the top 32. As Rasa comes in with a gangster flick, and look at Tarasoff right there reading that initiation. A little bit of a shallow inner clip 1 and 2 from Rasa as they're going into the outer zone 2. Beautiful fill up. And look at Tarasoff trying to match the angle, giving him room. He needs to sign in, slide into those DMs, slide into the pocket, and he does all the way through the final 2 outer zones.
Here we got to see another run of them slide to the left, slide to the right, and crisscross through the middle of the arena. As they come through here, we see immediately a better job at this proximity here on the chase. And here we also see some big mistakes in the lead. I think a couple times we saw a grab of too much angle, a little bit of a wrong setup, and that ultimately the corrections needed to get back on track slowed him down and just made him easy pickings for a chase driver to be able to slide right to his door and maintain that position throughout the rest of the run. we're not one of the judges. We're just people who think we're funny and got somehow let into the announcer's booth. But if I had to guess, I'd say that Tarasoff may have the advantage there.
Slide it left to the Tarasoff. Slide it right for Rasa. Instead of left, Tarasoff gets the win and moves on to the top 16. Oh, mercy. Wow, oh wow. This top 32 was insane. We have the brackets going to be showing up here in a bit, but first, this Poland track, absolutely crazy. We have the top 16 bracket here. We have heavy hitters right off the rip. And now we have another, it's a similar bracket from all the other rounds. You've seen these guys before in the VDM.
Yeah, it's a lot of our same characters that we see make it this far. I mean, we've got Warren, we've got Isaiah, Sullivan, Jaku, Element, I mean, Wallman, I believe Mustard also made it forward. Yep, there he is. So, I mean, these are our regular characters. And at this point, you know, if you're watching this series, definitely, you know, if you believe you've got the talent to make it here, understand this is one of the only competition series in the virtual sector of drifting where there is a real prize pot both per round and per the championship. So when that exists, of course, it's going to bring the fiercest competition. And we see time and time again, you know, this isn't a gimmick. This isn't just people getting lucky. You know, you can see it at home. These drivers who are advancing are the same ones. And when it's time for you to come compete against them, they really do apply the pressure. But ultimately, we want to see better driving. If you're interested in competing in this series, definitely get attached to all the socials, inquire, continue to practice, because our goal is to keep this around. So the more of you are interested in participating, more of you that are interested in watching, the more we can keep this going and make it more competitive, better prizes, better attraction, and hopefully even better sponsors to the series to just keep things interesting and make it so we can develop, you know, driver champions.
Yeah, and it's insane too, because if you go to VDM Discord, you could actually set yourself up for a wild card spot. And they ask who wants to be a wild card. You submit your accolades in the sim drifting or even in real life drifting, so you can compete and try to qualify to be in the top 32. The wild cards we have here, those are fans, people that have been around the series. You have Omar, he was a wild card. You have Jacob Don, he was another wild card. Mustafa, a wild card. It's these guys, we give the opportunities for people that are loving drifting and love the sim community. They'll jump in and they'll just throw their resume and we'll be like, you know what, let's see what you do. And some of the wild cards, man, they've been spicy. So now we got
absolutely.
our the next half of the competition is going to be top 16. And then, but we're going to be having a quick break, and it's going to be about a 5 to 10 minute break. We have the commercials going through, and then we're going to have an interview. So about, close to 10 minutes of a break you guys have. So grab your drinks, grab your refreshments, grab your popcorn if you like it. We'll catch you here for the top 16 here at Poland for the VDM.
Oh, the shadow tags the wall, almost throws it away as Hines backs it in across the line.
Unbelievable again. What a final. What a finish. Rory Hines
the line.
Unbelievable again. What a final. What a finish. Rory Heinen is your 2024 champion.
Chcesz, aby twoje wydarzenie wyglądało jak finał Mistrzostw Świata? Wiemy, co pokazać na ekranie, zanim widz zdąży o tym pomyśleć. Ragnar Simulator. Od idei do transmisji.
Guys, two new faces with me now. I have Robert Kwasinski and Nick Kang. Robert, jumping over to you first. You're 7th overall in the championship. And looking at your CV, I can see that you were the CDSV 2024 champion. But Robert, coming out of your top 32 battle, it didn't go to plan. Talk us through it.
Yeah, it was very unfortunate. Actually, there is a whole story behind it because on the first
Oh
round,
no.
nah, it's not bad. On the first run, I was doing fine, my lead, but I was hit quite hard on one of the transitions. I finished the run, everything seemed to be okay. When on the second run, I start to chase my opponent, I feel like I don't have enough power. So I was chasing him on the first corner. Something felt wrong. I downshift, no power. I started to smell some weird smell. So I quickly unstrapped myself, took the extinguisher, went back to my car and saw the fire. Luckily, I managed to put it down. But already this run was gone. And the only good thing about this that I managed to save my car.
Brilliant. Okay. Well, thanks for the real life synopsis,
Yeah.
Robert. So, looking at your overall championship, are you happy with your performance this year?
So I joined this competition with no expectations. It was like, I don't really want to drive, but I can. So I basically had no training. I was taking it like round by round. I'm super happy that I managed to be in top 10 in one of the biggest competition. So I'm very glad that I'm in this place.
Absolutely. 7th overall at this point is a massive achievement.
It might change by the end of this round.
It might change, but
it will be top 10, I think.
Let's see how it goes. Well, look, Robert, thank you so much for joining us, and you're very entertaining. We love how you're always strapped in and
Safety first.
Safety first, absolutely. And thanks for joining us.
Thank you. See you next season.
We'll see you next season, indeed. Now over to Nick Kang. Hi, Nick.
Hello.
Nick, so you're sitting 12th overall at the moment, okay? And actually, I must say, Ford Sierra, okay? One of my favorite cars, okay? And it's one of the coolest cars on the grid. What made you pick a Sierra? Have you got a love for them as well?
Yeah, I'd say, to be honest, the main sort of inspiration was probably from my father. He's always been into fast Fords, and I'd say that his personal Sierra is kind of where it sort of stemmed from. So I'd say, yeah, definitely my father.
Excellent, really good. And Nick, how would you rate your season so far?
I don't think I did anything too special. I think last time I checked, I was 12th. So I don't think anything to be over the moon about, but I'm very happy to be able to actually take part in something like this. It's a very big platform. I think Drift Masters is definitely it is the biggest drifting organization in the world, in my opinion. So definitely it's an honor to be able to take part in it.
Brilliant. Okay. And then it looks like you got the short straw in top 32 where you had to actually battle our defending champion, Jaku. So talk us through that battle.
Yeah. So going into it, I definitely, I've driven with an SS for a few years now. So I know that he's definitely he's the last year's champion. So I had definitely a lot to tackle, but I feel like I did all right. I feel like I could have been a bit more smoother in my chase and a bit better in the lead, but that's always room for improvement for next year.
Exactly. And hopefully we'll see you back next year, and, you know, hopefully we'll see you way up in the championship. Thanks very much, Nick, and we'll see you soon.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Okay, and back to the guys in the studio.
All right, we're back, and I'm in tears laughing. Alec, you have been changing the game, making these guys be worried about their cars, fire extinguishers now for their sim rigs. And your mic is Oh.
Here now. Here now. All right, got it. Who would have thought I was right? Like, I joked about there being a fire, and it turns out he actually unbuckled to go put out a fire and said that his car smelled like a certain class 1 narcotic, and that's how he knew that the car was on fire. And he ran out, put out the fire, had to unbuckle. Thank goodness for quick release harnesses on the racing sim. And then he came back. But the theme of today is pressure, and for multiple reasons. I did not know how long of a break we had to have, so my colon is under as much pressure as the turbo on some of these cars. And the drivers are under pressure. I'm going to be holding it for the rest of this announcing because I thought we had a much larger break, and then we were like halfway through it, and then I could not go to the bathroom. So we're going to see who can handle themselves under pressure. Can I do it? Can the drivers do it? There's only one round. We're at the final. And it's time to see who wants it most. Going to our top 16. We've got Warren, Turnquist, Kleinberg, Isaiah Sullivan, Jaku, Element, Tarasoff, Roncero. Can't see the other one because I covered up on that. Andrev, Jarboe, Austria, Wallman, Cuddy, and Mustard. So all of these drivers have been with us before. We've seen them all advance, but we've seen from this point on the combination of who gets to the top 8, top 4, and ultimately the finals completely change. And at the end of the day, Sullivan, the pressure is definitely on for him. He is trying to defend his lead in order to walk away as the champion of this series.
We're at Virtual Drift Masters on Instagram, Twitch, YouTube. And man, the one thing I enjoy about this series is the fun we have with it. And the drivers are having fun, having a great time. And now we get to see the RTR Mustang from Alan Hines versus Adrian Roncero with the A90 Supra. First battle of the top 16. Here we go. Let's see how Alan Hines locks in. He was very locked in on this first battle. Look at Roncero getting locked in, wrapping his gloves tight, trying to get a jump start. Alan Hines, cool, calm, and collective as always, coming in with a gangster flick, going to that first outer zone. And look at Adrian Roncero with the A90 Supra, trying to hold into the pocket, trying to reel him in. Going to interclip 1 and 2 is great from Alan Hines, transitioning to outer zone 2. Beautiful fill out, a little bit of a wavering from the lead driver, but you see Adrian Roncero is matching angle, mirroring him, bumper to bumper transition to the final 2 outer zone. A little bit surge forward to the pocket from Adrian Roncero from España, sticking it to the door of the Irish lad.
There we go. Alan Hines doing a great job getting out to those outer zones and filling them better than Lips in Miami from a plastic surgeon. Does a great job getting into these inside zones, inside there. Good touch across the wall, and we see him scoot the back of that Mustang right up against, you see the spoiler actually disappearing a little bit sometimes into the yellow of the wall. Roncero is starting to fall back a little bit. I think he was prioritizing matching the angle more than securing in the pocket at certain points in this run. He does a good job trying to slowly pick back up, but Hines putting on a masterclass of how to complete this course.
And we see Alan Hines now rolling up to the line, a little bit right behind him. Not as staggered as normal. Adrian Roncero clapping his gloves, locking him in, lighting off the tires right off the rip on the line. Alan Hines is matching him all the way through with a nice smooth initiation. Look at Alan Hines sticking it to the roar right off the rip into interclip 1. A huge fill out from Adrian Roncero as they're going to outer zone 2. Alan Hines is right now massaging the angle, using that nice filled out line so he can take it to this door as they're going into this power alley. Huge angle for both drivers. Alan Hines is sticking it door to door throughout the whole track like white on rice.
Alan Hines touching base with Ranchero more often than scam callers check me about my extended warranty for my car. He does a great job sticking right there by his door. We see him transition, and every single time they come around, they call and they ask him for some Target gift cards. They are asking him, what's up, what's going on? I mean, geez, look at this chase run. But he does a good job reeling him in throughout the entire run, every single part of it. You can see the only thing we don't have here in Assetto Corsa is we're not able to leave tire marks on the door. I would love it if that kind of a physics existed, or kind of a effect in Assetto Corsa existed. But that's going to be a tough one for the judges to give to Roncero, but we'll see what they can make of it. And a reminder here, Alan Hines, as he gets the unanimous win, is a real-life competitor as well. You can check him on his socials. He's wearing his shirt. His car is also that Irish green. And happy to see him as a regular participant in these series.
Yeah, and him and Reese Tatterson are teammates too, which is great to see. And we're going through each zones, and it's so great to see both of these guys just fight it out. And now we have our next battle: Steven Jarboe versus Daniel Andrev. Daniel Andrev is in the lead. Steven Jarboe in the chase. Daniel Andrev, one of the young bucks here in the series, been proving his worth each round. And now we get the AOM member with the RX-7 coming in, surging right off the rip, putting that tire to the door of Andrev as they're going into inner clip line, a little bit of midline, going through both of those inner clips, but Steven Jarboe is able to match each movement of the lead driver as Daniel Andrev is going through outer zone 2 and 3. Beautiful fill out, huge speed, and then contact made, puts Andrev into the wall, unable to finish the rest of the lap. Was there a huge decel there?
That was rough. We'll have to see what the fault was and what caused that there. We come into this initiation here, looking at the RX-7, trying to do what he can to kind of assess where he can grab on angle. A lot of adjustments that we saw by both drivers we get later into this part of the course. So a big fallback right there from the RX-7. And it's as we come across this transition into one of these last outside zones where we see, I think, just a big hit there from the RX-7. Hit the front of his car like white on rice. See, Albito, see that? See, I see you. White on rice. See how funny that is? But he ends up putting him into the wall. Definitely, I think the RX-7 is going to be at fault there. So the judges, I'm sure, are likely to agree, and it's tough to come back from that. The only thing the RX-7 could do is try to do a good lead run. Ideally, if some big mistake happens like that, you kind of hope it's the other way around so you can apply pressure from the chase. So, but anything can happen. It's even possible that Andrev can make a mistake, but he's not known for that, and he's been with us for quite a long time. So let's just see what happens.
Yeah, going to outer zone 3, beautiful fill out too, and then going to the final 2 outer zones. Andrev is sticking it right to the door as well, and getting right on him. But man, AOM guys out here representing. There's a saying going on: "Send it for Seth." He passed away within the last year, and these guys have been out there supporting the community and supporting each drivers. But look at him going through each zone a little bit further away from the wall compared to other drivers that we're used to. But Andrev, he's known to be right on the door like brown sugar and cinnamon toast crunch on most of the drivers, but you see him give him some proximity a little bit, and then diving right back into the pocket.
I like that. The brown sugar was like, God, you're a genius. I gotta write some of these down. Can I steal that?
Yes, that's fine. Here we go. Daniel Andrev gets the win and moves on. My drill sergeant said that to me, and that was it stuck with me for 15, 20 years. Here we go. We got our next battle going through. Absolutely banger after banger we have going through each run. Darius Austriaca versus Wallman. Wallman has been very great with each round, sticking it to each wall. Just like a Chris Brown song going from wall to wall. His back bumper does.
Ooh.
Here we go. Darius Ostrika in the lead. You like that, didn't you? Darius Ostrika coming in here. Let's see if Don Ostrika gets right there. And look at Wallman sticking it to the door of Darius to Don Ostrika. Going to inner clip 1, inner clip 2. Beautiful fill up. Going to all the way at outer zone 2. Lighting off the tires. Nice angle. Very smooth and consistent. Wallman needs to surge into the pocket. We have the second half of this battle. There's the Don Ostrika versus Wallman. Wallman is in the lead.
The jokes crashed the stream.
The jokes crashed the stream. Here we go. We got our lead here. Wallman is coming out here to hit each wall and get that back bumper there. Lighting off the tires. The back spoiler is just ripping on that chain link fence over there. Going into inner clip 1 and 2. Beautiful fill out. Look at Darius Ostrika sticking it to the door. Right in the pocket. Not forward, not back, just right. Sticking it to each zone all the way through. Bumper to bumper transition. Transitioning to the final outer zones. And beautiful fill out. But look at Darius Don Ostrika right there.
I don't know which jokes I can reuse because everyone didn't hear it, but here we go, coming into initiation here. We see them coming into this outside zone once again, like ankle monitors on baby daddies as they come across this inside. We see them go again with no proximity being lost on the chase position here, looking to get really nice and close, and they're coming through this transition through the outside zone. This is a chance to try and surge. They get glued right here, a little bit of a step back, but by the time they get through the outside zone, once again, he's on them like glitter on strippers. There we go. Just covering it one more time.
Here we go. We
lost him on the stream.
Wallman.
Gotta keep it going.
Wallman is to the right. And Darius Ostrika gets the win and moves on. We love to have fun here in the booth because it's entertaining, it's fun, it's an exciting time to see sim drifting and a real world collide. When you're out here, a lot of great drivers here. Cameron Mustard, Sam Cuddy. Cameron, we always know him as the great battler here. We ask if he's going to be spicy mustard or yellow mustard. We'll see how this lead lap deems him. Cameron Mustard is going to be in the lead. Sam Cuddy in the chase. And here we go. Initiation goes to that first outer zone. Lights off the tires. Beautiful fill out. Going to the first outer zone. Going to inner clip 1. Boom. Inner clip 2. Gangster. Going to outer zone 2. And look at Sam Cuddy diving into the pocket. Now surging in. Using that left foot brake to stay right there where he needs to be in the proximity. Going to the power alley. Now Cameron Mustard getting right to angle to the final 2 outer zones. Lighting off the tires. Getting, oh my goodness, super speed all the way through each zone. And Sam Cuddy was right there.
Cuddy has had an opportunity here to continue taking out Goliath. So he already did it once in top 32, and now against Mustard, he's showing that he deserves to be here, looking to get that proximity. We see him right here, turn up the aggression, and by the time he gets right to this corner, he is on them like celebrities on Epstein Island as they come across this outside zone, doing a nice big transition through these outer clips. And by the time they come across this line, this entire sweeper, he is just sticking right with him with his tire right on his door, even giving a little tap to Mustard, not phasing him. And meanwhile, Mustard has put down a great lead run. So it's all going to come down to the second one. There's plenty of opportunity for Mustard to stay close and Cuddy to just focus on a great lead run.
Here we go. Sam Cuddy in the lead. Cameron Mustard in the chase. Going in with a absolute gangster initiation as well, but he's not as close to the wall. The spoiler is right inside the wall. Getting a midline, going to the midline of both inner clips, going to outer zone 2. Absolutely beautiful fill out. Now it's Cameron Mustard is matching the angle as he's going to this power alley, transitioning to the final 2 outer zones. Huge fill out all the way through into the final 2 outer zones. Beautiful.
There we go, doing a great job coming across this course. Mustard is absolutely responding to what just happened on that previous run. Mustard's looking to show him that he is absolutely coming against a Goliath here, but Sam doing an excellent job on this lead run as well. I think we might have a run here where the judges will absolutely have to split hairs in order to come down to a position where they can pick a winner or maybe even see this go one more time. And I don't think Mustard understood that he was going to be signing up for a battle this close coming into here, but doing an excellent job. I would love to see Sam further move up in this competition.
And I don't know if it looked from my perspective that that Sam Cuddy wasn't as close, but it looks like judges have come to a decision here. And Cameron Mustard gets the win and moves on.
Does a great job. Mustard, unfortunately, taking the win, but Cuddy, honestly, 100% deserved to be able to make it as far as he did. I 100% thought it could have gone either way.
And here we go. That was the last battle on the left side of the bracket. And now we have Juno Warren versus Linus Turnquist. Juno Warren is going to be in the lead with that Mercedes diesel powered. Landis Turnquist is in the chase. Let's see how aggressive he'll get, like he has been doing each round. And look at Warren getting right to the wall. Oh, beautiful fell out. But now Turnquist right there, tucking it to the door, giving him some room, and then surges right out of the smoke into outer zone 2, getting right to angle, using a beautiful flurry of left foot braking and manipulation of that clutch, going all the way through to the final 2 outer zones. My goodness, Turnquist is on fire.
These two have definitely seen each other in competition before, and they know exactly what to expect. We can see Warren doing a great job setting his car up. He always enters corners with a ton of angle. That car has been very good for him, being able to switch directions and get from lock to lock very quickly. But Chase Driver, unfazed by any of it as they come through, especially on this transition. We see that Warren does a great job getting rotated all the way before the zone, getting probably earlier to full lock than any of the other drivers I've seen go through those sections. But there's a shadow right behind him the entire run. It's going to be tough for these drivers to stand out.
I thought Warren was going to smoke that wall on the last 2 outer zones, just how he floated into it, but he was able to light those tires off and get back on grip so he could get around that. It was fantastic to see. But we have Warren in the chase against Turnquist in the lead. Turnquist coming out here, coming in with a nice flirty initiation, but Warren sticking it right to the door, and right there, super aggressive, transitioning into outer zone 2. Beautiful fill out from Turnquist. A little bit of a change of angle, but then getting back on throttle all the way through each zone. A beautiful fill out, and look at Warren sticking it right back to the door, getting right there, close proximity all the way through. Oh, mercy.
This has to be one of my favorite runs so far. Warren chased him and was on him like HR in my DMs right now as he came all the way across the door, and he just stayed behind him, shadowed behind him the entire time. We see him surge at every single transition, able to reel him back in. My apologies. I am working really hard on myself, and I'll continue to do better for me and the DMEC brand, and this is not a representation that we could do a lot better, and I plan to work harder on this just as much as Warren's been working on his driving, as it's paying off today as they come across the line.
We got Turnquist to the right, Warren to the left. The judges are looking through. You have Turnquist smiling over there, absolutely loving each competitor's experience and their enjoyment. Oh my goodness. The judges are really going right at it, and they're figuring out who's going to be winning. They're giving me a quick little explanation, but It's a crazy close run. Actually, after this decision, I would like to hear one of the judges' opinions on this battle. This battle was insane to see.
Yeah, I think one of the crazy things is like Warren is one of those drivers where you'll watch him and you'll actually think that I think you said it already, that it looked like he was going to be in a collision. Like it looks like he just gets to full lock. And most of these drivers, if they commit to full lock that early coming into a corner, they start to step back and they end up flirting a little too much with the wall. So to be able to land those types of transitions just takes such a level of skill that can't really be appreciated until you get there. And then there you go. Warren gets the win unanimously. The judges had a lot to look at, and they're all in agreement.
I want to hear their thoughts real quick on this decision. Chris, I don't know if you can hear me. Come on, tell us about your what was the whole decision? That was a close battle. Oh, I hear you perfectly fine.
Good. Brill. Okay, well, hello everybody. Yeah, so for us, that one was absolutely incredible chasing from both guys. There's nothing to separate them there. The only difference there for us, just being the picky people that we are, it's the leads. There are some tiny little differences. So it is in the lead position, once you come to inner clip 2, Linus unfortunately cuts a little bit too tight, and we were really specific. We want to see that left front wheel right on the inside of that box, no further in. Unfortunately, Linus was a little bit further in there, and then a little bit further down the track outside zone 4, he just taps the wall that little bit. So those are the two differences, whereas on Yuna's lead, it was as good a run as we've seen. That's the sort of run that we would always be expecting to top qualifying, let alone be a battle run.
All right. Appreciate you, Chris. Here we go. Vitali Azeyev in the lead. Andreas Kleinberg in the chase. Here we go. Let's see this battle here. It's taking the last battle. Actually, third to last battle of the top 16. Going in. Huge initiation. Goes that first out of zone. Andreas Kleinberg is chasing him down as they're going to inner clip 1. Inner clip 2 is beautifully filled out. And Andreas Kleinberg right there. RTR. Racing Team Riga touching the door of the lead driver, Vitali Azeyev, as they're going to outer zone 3. Beautiful fill out, going to the final outer zones. And huge correction from the chase driver as they're finishing off this lap. Vitali Azeyev does a fantastic job in the lead.
I think we're actually starting to see visibly the driver starting to turn up the skill right here. As you see Azeyev doing a good job. He's always been very consistent with this car at just being very smooth as he makes his way through the course. And then Racing Team Riga doing a good job diving in. He's always been very good also at just figuring out where the opportunity is to quickly regain ground. You see him do it again right here in the transition. He'll step forward, swing the back of that car out, and that's exactly how you want to try and do it, only stick the landing. And by the time they get across the line, he's on him like breadsticks on a table at Olive Garden. This is all that got past production? Are you serious? I only have a couple of these to work. All right. Yeah, like breadsticks on a table at Olive Garden. Thank you.
In the chase, Andreas Kleinberg in the lead. Andreas Kleinberg going in. First outer zone, beautiful fill out. Vitali Azeyev diving into the pocket and gets a little bit further, cheating the line on going to inner clip 1. But now a huge correction from the lead driver on outer zone 2. Being able to light off the tires, get back on throttle, and going all the way to outer zone 3. Power alley is good, and Vitali Azeyev is chasing him down. A huge contact on the outer wall of the final 2 outer zones. Oh my goodness, this is very unfortunate for that lead.
Here we go. Big initiation by Azeyev, doing a great job setting the tone of the run very early on. This is a area where we do not see a lot of drivers immediately start with aggression, but we immediately see the lead driver start to cause some issues there where he makes a bumper tap right there. It gives Azeyev an opportunity to just maintain proximity and get even closer. And then as we come across this last section, again, we see the lead driver just grab a little bit too much of that wall as Azeyev tries to make his way around. So great run, but unfortunately tapping that wall twice just put him in a position where those ultimately translated to mistakes that affected his drive, and I think the judges definitely caught it too.
And Vitali Azeyev gets the win and moves on. Great job, great performance from Vitali, and you see a quick 360 before he exits stage right. Tires are smoking out that tunnel. And we're waiting for our next battle here, coming up here. Is going to be Zaku Sullivan versus Ernestus Jaku. Jaku, the second time they've competed against each other. You have our possible this year's champion and our defending champion battling it out here at VDM at the final round. Man, can Jaku take out Zach? Let's see how they do. Second and last battle of the top 16. Zaku Sullivan getting locked in. Triple monitor setup in car view. Jaku getting a little jump on Zach. Gonna try to match him every which way he can. He knows he needs to stick it to the door, and he does. Getting right there, close proximity, matching angle. Knowing Zaku Sullivan is very efficient with his leads. Can't trust him each zone he gets. Going to outer zone 2. Jaku massaging the speed, massaging the proximity, matching him. Surging a little bit forward in the pocket, then backing off a little bit. Now transitioning bumper to bumper. Going to the final 2 outer zones. Huge aggression from Jaku against Zach. Oh, Sully!
This is one of these battles that I always look forward to seeing. As we get further into top 16, we get to the point where these drivers are so familiar with each other that they are just driving in unison as if they're fighter jets like the Blue Angels. They're just in perfect sync as they come across the course. So here we go, coming across Jaku trying to get close on O'Sullivan. He's ultimately could be a person who makes it difficult for O'Sullivan to get through the rest of the championship and make him sweat a little bit, and he's doing the best he can right here. And by the time they get across, I'm not saying this. Really? He's like on him like a turtle shell on a turtle. I'd rather not even. No, I'm not reading these. Take this back.
Zach O'Sullivan in the chase.
I'm just gonna let it die.
Jaku in the lead. Coming in with a nice initiation. Look at Zach O'Sullivan. Right there, surging in, getting that proximity dialed in right. Hitting interclip 1 is great. 2 is beautiful. Now Jaku getting to outer zone 2. And Zach O'Sullivan falls behind as he is getting right back into the pocket, right back into the fight. This is Evander Holyfield and Muhammad Ali, toe-to-toe. Left, right, center, going all the way through the final outer zones. Absolutely class act, doors action here at VDM.
This is when the judges really have to lean forward and figure out how they're going to give these awards to people. We've dealt with this many times in different rounds where we start to hear from the judges more frequently, because when they have to make a decision, they literally have to nitpick, because these drivers these runs just start to get so in sync and so robotic in the way that they're just hitting all the zones or staying nice and close to each other. And O'Sullivan right now doesn't want to have any of it because he sees how close he is to winning the championship. He really wants to progress, but at the end of the day, when it's left in the judges' hands and you've got talents of this level, unfortunately, this is the only way, is just by sitting at the edge of your seat waiting to hear the news.
This is insane. Zach O'Sullivan, Sim Racing Solutions, title sponsorship on his car. And you have Jaku with a new sponsor over here. And it looks like a one more time battle for Zach O'Sullivan and Jaku. I love the chat. The chat's making me laugh so hard. There we go.
I'm just saying, go woke, go broke. All right, that's all I'm saying.
You're such a clown. Here we go. Second. Oh, this is like our third or fourth OMT of this round. Here we go. Zach O'Sullivan, her points leader in the season. And Jaku chasing him down. Zach O'Sullivan getting ready with that BMW. The red BMW coming into this initiation point. Coming in with a nice initiation. Getting right to angle. Floating to that first outer wall. Look at Jaku surging into pocket. Matching him. Going into interclip 1. Beautiful. Interclip 2 is great. Going into outer zone 2. Great fill out from Zach O'Sullivan, but Jaku is rubbing that tire, and he's rubbing his racing going through that outer zone 3. Now transitioning to outer zone 4. We're waiting for that surge from Jaku, and now putting it to the door of Zach O'Sullivan all the way through the final outer zones.
This is going to be rough. Both of these drivers have to be very careful right now because they're already driving so much on the edge that there's only so much more that they can gamble with before they risk that they're going to be some sort of a collision that knocks either of them out of the competition. And sometimes this is exactly what we see, where we see runs like this where there's only so many things that they can actually work on, and then eventually something's got to give, and one of them takes too much of a gamble and it leads to a collision. But that's not this run. This is just them edging even closer to wherever they can to differentiate in front of the judges. But now they both know if they don't want to go one more time again, something has to happen on this run to make a difference.
Sullivan, there was a little bit of contact on that transition, but we'll see if that really is a crucial point. It's even fight right here. Jaku lighting off the tires to the first outer zone. Beautiful float to angle. Now going to inner clip 1. Great fill out. Going to inner clip 2. Zach O'Sullivan now surging into the pocket. The USA coming in, getting right to the door of that BMW, right all the way through that power alley to the final 2 outer zones. Absolutely class act driving from Zach O'Sullivan to the final 2 outer zones, getting door to door.
Once again, right here, we see Jack O'Sullivan putting all the pressure he can, doing the second run. He knows that he's in a position where he gets to apply the pressure and try to be the last thing in the judge's mind. Of course, he'll be able to look at both replays, but coming across these sections here, the O'Sullivan is going to do everything he can to match angle, transition, use the opportunities to get that surge pass on these transitions, which is a great job here. And you got to look at that. The angle is absolutely parallel every single time he gets back up to the door.
Here we go. Slide him left for Zach. Slide him right for Jaku. Oh, mercy. Great runs for both of these drivers. Jaku won the trip to Poland last year. Had a great time out there. Was able to drive a real drift car a couple weeks before.
I got like an itch. I just want to say like one more. No, I should behave.
Oh man, judges are looking really closely on the replays. And Zach O'Sullivan gets the win and moves on. And it was the little bit of contact from Jaku on that transition. And that was a little bit of a mistake. Look at the sigh of relief of Zach O'Sullivan. That little bit of contact, that little mistake can cost a decision from any driver here. It's insane.
Well deserved, and we've got some, and that's just a foreshadowing of what we have left to come.
And now we have Stanislav Tarasoff versus Alexander Element. We have Ragnar Simulator's sponsorship out there, money, and Strom Wheels. Here we go. Stanislav Tarasoff coming in here in the chase. Huge. Oh my goodness. That was a huge correction. Going into that first lead lap there. Tarasoff is having a struggle right there. Going to outer zone 2. Beautiful fill out. Look at Alexander Element getting right to the door. Knowing how he drives. Being able to dive into the pocket. But huge gap. And man, contact made from Tarasoff. This is non-characteristic from Tarasoff.
This is a rough one to watch. The expectations were high going into this because these are two teammates that have a very similar, pretty much identical chassis to each other, with the exception of just a couple suspension tune preferences. So you'd assume they would be extremely close to each other, and this would be just an example and testament to these two as team members. But unfortunately, we see a big mistake right there on the initiation, and then right here, he just backs it into the wall, tries to make corrections, and it makes it a very sloppy run to chase and a very sloppy run to watch. So right there, we're going to see 1 run left. I mean, primarily, those were all mistakes by the lead driver. The chase driver just gave some distance. So now Element is going to be able to just go up, put a good, solid lead run down, and Tarasoff's got to try to apply the pressure and try to maybe encourage his own teammate to make a mistake if he wants to see him not advance.
And Alexander Element going into that first outer zone, a huge weight transfer initiation going into it. Inner clip 1 is good, going to outer zone 2. And look at Tarasoff trying to reel him in, sticking it to his door. Not as much angle as Element, but Element's doing a great job filling each zone out as they're going to the final outer zones. Oh my goodness. Beautiful fill out as they go through each lap.
It was a better run to watch, definitely more enjoyable, and both drivers definitely seem more comfortable. But unfortunately, it looks like Element just still did a really great lead run, and it didn't put enough pressure in the chase position for Element to make any kind of mistakes. And then even in the chase, we don't see a ton of that matching of angle. We don't see him all the way in there in the pocket. There he starts to get a little bit closer, but he's still not doing it at the same angle as Element. So he's lagging behind and having to sacrifice some of that angle to keep that proximity. I think in this case, it's very possible we're going to see Element walking away with the win on it.
And we got Alan Hines and Candid Camera right there. I've been fighting a sneeze for the past 2 laps. It's been brutal.
That was an accident.
Here we go.
Adam,
Left for Tarasoff, right for Element.
Put it on the
And Alexander Element gets the win. It moves on. That is all of the top 16. We are moving on to our grade 8 here at VDM. It's been absolutely spectacular. It's been insane. The grade 8 right here. You got Alan Hines, Andrev, Austria, Mustard, Warren, Isaiah, Sullivan, Element. This is going down tooth and nail to the final battles. Zaku Sullivan is still getting some good points leader. And man, oh man. How are you feeling about this here, Alec? This has been insane. These battles.
So
I'm looking at the bracket.
Yeah, so going into this, O'Sullivan is on his way to try and win the championship right now. Now he still has to contend pretty well within the series because I do believe second place is still in the running. So I'll have to look back at the points currently to see exactly where that is. But these are the same faces we see all the time. I think right now the pressure really starts to surmount for people like O'Sullivan who are looking to see, who they're going to come up next in the bracket. And we've seen already some David and Goliath battles, but this track is one that gives everyone a pretty good opportunity to surge on each other. So they have to be a little bit more picky about where they look for win opportunities.
Here we go. Alan Hines in the lead with the RTR Mustang. Andrev, the young buck, coming out here. And look at Alan Hines floating right to outer zone 1, rubbing that back bumper on that wall. Beautiful fill out. Inner clip 1. Inner clip 2 is absolutely maniacal. Going to outer zone. Oh, no! Contact made. Was it on the wall? Was it on the chase driver?
We got a shutdown there.
Oh.
Let's take this apart. Let's dissect it as they come in. Alan Hines does a great job. Very comfortable in that Mustang. We've seen him do well before, but Andrev also very comfortable in his own vehicle. These two have seen each other in competition as well before. It just looks like a shutdown. It doesn't look like anything in particular caused that, other than must be something on his end with his equipment. Maybe his car caught on fire. I didn't think I was going to be right about the first one, but...
Oh, man.
We'll probably have to get some feedback on that or hear from him about what the...
It's a rerun. That's what happened. So they call the restart. So that's... Oh, man. Woo. Got me nervous on that run. That's not... We're not used to that from Alan Hines. And here we go. Alan Hines coming into that first outer zone. Let's see how he does. Hitting that E-brake, lighting off the tires, and look at Andrev matching the angle. And then now Alan Hines falls a little bit out of outer zone, or interclip 1, going to outer zone 2. Beautiful fill out. Look at Andrev getting right to the pocket, matching the angle. Going to outer zone 3. Great fill out on outer zone 4 and 5. Let's see how it happens. A little bit far away from the wall, but Andrev is sticking it to the door, following the lead line.
Andrev did an awesome job on the chase right there, but of course nothing could be detracted from Hines doing once again an exemplary run. That would be a perfect qualifying run as he comes across. We know that he's been very comfortable on this course and with this car in the sense that it paid off in his qualifying. Hines showing up on the top of the qualifying after yesterday. And here we see Andrev look at a really close transition there to be able to get that gap nice and close by the end of this run too. Very excited to see what they'll make of the next run.
Here we go. Andrev is now leading. Alan Hines. Alan Hines is coming out here with that Mustang. Oh, a little bit of a bump on initiation, but Andrev is unfazed by it as Alan Hines going into interclip 1 in the chase for Andrev, a little bit falling back behind, lost in the smoke, but now Alan Hines dives back into the pocket of Andrev as they're going to outer zone 3. Now transition to outer zone 4, bumper to bumper with that RTR Mustang hunting down that BMW throughout the final 2 zones.
This will definitely be one of the tougher ones for the judges. Andrev doing a great job swinging super wide and getting right to angle before he even enters that outside zone, doing a great job. And then a little bit of a tap right there, looking to get that advantage. And then we see Hines once again reel back in. That Mustang's got plenty of grip to go, but definitely Andrev's BMW is really putting pressure on how much grip it really has. And we see Hines do a great job on this last part, get locked into the pocket, keeping his wheel right there. This is definitely the kind of run where it comes down to just the very minuscule mistakes that either of them made, and it's very possible the judges may not be able to immediately find a winner from this one. And no, it was not a joke. We had another driver who did actually have their real car in real life catch on fire and had to leave in the middle of it to go extinguish their real life car outside of their house. So everything's okay. They were wearing a 4-point harness in their sim when it happened, and they had a fire extinguisher. But yeah, things happen. This is DMAC.
Here we go. Left for Hines, right for Andrev. And Andrev gets the win and moves on.
Very good. Look at that celebration there on the camera. Well deserved, honestly. I think a big part of that is just, the lead runs. He had so much angle and got locked to full lock so quickly, and then the chase was just very, very aggressive.
Alan Hines came so close. So close. Getting a word from the judges. Yeah, it was that bump from that transition from interclip 2 and 3. Here we go. Darius Austriac and Cameron Mustard. They are very familiar on how each other drives, so this might be a tale for the tape. Darius Austriac coming in here with that BMW. And here comes Cameron Mustard, right to angle, a little bit of a correction on the chase, but look at Darius getting nice angle going to interclip 1. Interclip 2 is beautiful fill out going to outer zone 2, beautifully lighting up those tires. And look at Cameron Mustard being spicy as he can be, going to outer zone 3, giving him some room, transitioning right before Austriac transition so he can surge right back into the pocket of Darius the Don Austriac.
Look at this replay. I think Mustard actually gave Austriac a couple taps right there to let him know how close he was getting. We see Mustard right here get situated, doing a great job on the lead also to be able to get into those zones, preparing for those inside clips. He gets very close, and then here's where we start to see Mustard start to really light the fuel and get a lot closer as we come through the transition. This is also that dive opportunity we talked about multiple times. Just clears the bumper on that transition to not have to lose an inch. And from here on out, he is matching angle and staying right there at his door. And we see that little tap we were talking about right there as they get close to the finish line.
And now we have the second half of this battle. Now I'm realizing what chat is saying. It's raining grass on the outer zone. Is it 3 or 2? Here we go. It's our first outer zone. Beautiful fill out. And man, oh man, look at there's the Don Austriaca going into inner clip 1. Inner clip 2 is great. And there it is. Oh, a huge correction from Cameron Mustard, as Darius Austriaca is able to stay right there in the pocket, even with that correction from the lead driver. Going to outer zone 3 and 4, all the way to the final outer zones. Beautiful fill out from Cameron Mustard, and Darius the Don Austriaca right there toe to toe.
Austriaca looking to have a little bit more grip and speed at his disposal here. He gets a great surge on Mustard and is able to lock in from that surge initially off of initiation. And then through the transitions, gives a good amount of space on the bumper. Mustard making a tap right there on the wall, though, that definitely caused a correction that you could see. And Austriaca nudging a little bit to try and get closer, having to sacrifice some of that angle. Here we see him lock in again, does a great job. He's been doing a tremendous time every time we see him at just getting to angle and then able to lock in without falling back. But it looked to me right there like Mustard made a couple mistakes that could cost him. And we'll see ultimately how the judges are going to weigh each of those mistakes, which at least this run I think were a little bit more visible than the last. And there you have it. Austriaca gets the win.
And I see a familiar face in the chat. Champy Flight, the drone pilot in the sim world for the socials of VDM. Hope you're enjoying the show. Always hyped whenever you do a video for the VDM socials. And you have your Yuna Warren versus
this is going to be a good battle.
Zayev. Yeah. Yuna Warren, Vitali Zayev. And then this is the right side of the grade 8. Whew. Warren lighting off the tires right off the rip, coming in. Beautiful initiation. Look at Vitali Zayev right there, door to door with the Warren, the Mercedes, going into each inner clip, filling it all the way out. Vitali Zayev is able to get a little bit forward in the pocket, trying to stay right to the door, and he is rubbing that front tire on the quarter panel of Warren as they're going to the final outer zone. Oh my goodness. Doors all the way throughout the track. That was insane.
We called it out in advance. These are two drivers who both have pretty similar driving styles. They both like getting into full lock or nice and early, getting through the zone, through the whole first zone. That's some of the closest proximity we've seen held by both drivers. And then they come through again, Warren rotating his car nice and early. And Andrev loves to see that because it's also the same way he likes to drive. As they come through here, both of them are also keeping very similar speeds. This is a tough one for them to both get that second round. Look at that tire. You can see it clipping through the door, coming glued to each other across the line.
All right, we got the second half of this battle. Warren in the chase. Vitali Zayev in the lead. BMW versus Mercedes here in the Poland arena, and look at Warren right there, just sinking into the door right off the rip, bumper to bumper transition on inner clip 1 and 2, and going into outer zone 2. Warren is absolutely diabolical, just not letting him go, basically having a magnet going right to the door each zone. Vitali Zayev does a great job in the lead, but Warren is an absolute savage.
This may be one of the best battles we're going to get today. Warren coming very close right off the bat, doing a great job getting that tire on the door. He understood that Andrev did that near the end of the run. He didn't get as much proximity and angle as we saw Andrev get on that previous run at this point, but he starts to make up for it right here for the rest of the run. He begins to rotate. That tire is currently clipping through Andreev's door. Transitions barely giving the bumper any space, and then right here, adhered to his door as he comes across the line. We may have seen just a slightly better proximity on that previous chase run, but it's really tough because both of these are just so impressive, and I think the leads were just so comparable. They're basically a wash. I think once again that the chase is going to stand out a lot.
Slide it left for Yuna, slide it right for Vitali. That was insane. Man, these guys coming out here with their custom cars. And it looks like Warden gets the win and moves on. We're going to see that diesel engine rip through the track on the final 4. Man, we have 2 more battles of that car that we're going to see. It's fantastic to see. Now we have Zacho Sullivan versus Alexander Element. Oh, this is an insane competition throughout this whole series. Zacho Sullivan put in the middle down. He's also a spotter for a Formula Drift driver, which is fantastic to see the IRL and Sim world collide. Sully right there getting locked in. We got people in chat rooting for an Element. Here we go. Zacho Sullivan coming in with a nice initiation. Not as drastic as some of these drivers, but look at Element sticking it to the close proximity of Zacho Sullivan. Hitting inner clip 1, 2, and then going into outer zone 2. Beautiful fill out all the way through. A correction from Alexander Element in the chase, but able to reel in that proximity and keep it there. Transition is buttery smooth, and here comes Element. Now hunting him down. Zacho Sullivan doing a great job leading him all the way throughout this whole lap.
Sullivan feels like he was just on track. Now he's at it again, and with that proximity to run the battles back to back, he's able to kind of have fresh muscle memory on this track, which he's always had to begin with, and now we get to see him just settling in there. And in that chase position, we do see a little bit of wobbling, and unfortunately, even though this is not even bad proximity, we've just been blessed with so many great battles leading up to this that it's hard for us to reward a really impressive proximity, but ultimately just the bar has already been set so high. So I definitely think that, you know, in the chase, Element's got to get a little bit closer than that, but that was his potentially one and only opportunity to do that unless there's a one more time. So now O'Sullivan, it's time for him to put in work because he needs to continue to win if he wants to walk away as a champion.
And here comes Element in the lead. Zacho Sullivan giving him some room on outer zone 1, transitioning, then diving into the pocket. Outer zone 2 is beautiful fill out. Zacho Sullivan is falling a little bit farther behind, but now he's trying to reel him in. Going to outer zone 3, transitioning to outer zone 4. Oh my goodness, the surge from Zacho Sullivan on the final 2 outer zones. Absolutely technical. This track is a class act for tandems.
We see a lot of this trend where we see the drivers tend to play it a little bit safe here at the beginning. We see, again, okay proximity right there, but the first zones, we've only seen a couple battles where they use that and try to stay close right away. And the rest of the runs, we start to see this pattern here where they slowly reel in throughout the run. They use this one cross across the midsection of the track to really set themselves up, and they just try to stay on the door across the finish line. Not bad at all, definitely fun to watch, but at this point in the competition, it's going to need to be the entirety of the course that these drivers look to execute.
Yeah, this layout is technical, but it makes it even more fun for these tandem battles that these guys are so comfortable with it. It's kind of like the English Town in New Jersey. It's an easy track, but you could mess up any which way. This track, if you mess up, it's unforgettable. That's what I love about the Poland track here. I would be super excited to see it in real life. And if you guys are going to check them out, definitely go to the Drift Masters website, pick up your tickets for the Poland finale, and you might catch our champion for Virtual Drift Masters there. Here we go. The judges are looking. Patronus, title sponsor for Element, BMW. You have these guys here just getting locked in. Zacho Sullivan with Sim Solutions. And Zacho Sullivan gets the win and moves on. A sigh of relief from Zach. And it looks like Zach had a better lead and Element had a huge correction. And man. Oh, man. This has been a crazy, crazy series. Rose, how are you feeling?
Oh God, I'm on the edge of my seat here. I mean, some of these battles are finals battles, right? And just my nerves are shot actually. But I mean, looking at where we're standing at the moment, Alan's gone, Daniel's gone through, Zach is through, so it could be Zach's or Daniel's at this point. Gotta wait and see.
That's insane. That's insane. Alec, how are you feeling about these battles so far? It's been insane. It's been crazy. We've been getting finals battles since top 32. Oh man.
These battles are shaping up to just be one of the most competitive rounds in this series that we've been able to see so far. And these 4 names that we've got right here that are heading towards that top 4 to get in the finals, all people that you could guess from the beginning were contenders to end up that far in the bracket to begin with. They've been so consistent throughout this series. It doesn't seem to matter how technical the track is or what they're presented with as far as the elements of the course. They just rise to the occasion time and time again, and I think we're getting a fun display for it, and I think they're enjoying it just as much as the fans are. I'm enjoying watching it. I know they're enjoying doing it, and at the end of the day, this becomes one of the only places where even they get to experience battles with that much intensity and that much enthusiasm.
Yeah, and especially with Warren and Zaku Sullivan battle. Rose, what do you think about that? 2 top drivers now battling it out. Zach has a lot on his plate on this one.
Yeah, Zach is also on a mission though. He wants the championship. Jonah, he's just been consistent every battle as well. So it's going to be a really tough one for the judges. But I mean, I think to separate them, one of them is going to have to take a massive risk. But then with risk, let's see.
Yeah, I'm super excited for this. You have Andrev and Austriaca on the other side. We've seen them battle it out too before. Rose, it's your first season here, and you've been seeing some crazy battles. So, out of the first season, what were you expecting from the beginning to right now? Did you expect this roller coaster of emotions?
No, I actually didn't. It's actually exceeded my expectations. And I know I've been watching sim racing and stuff for a while, but when you actually get involved and watch what the drivers are doing during the competition, the practice they're putting in, just realize how seriously they take it and how important it is to them. So yeah, really, really, it's opened my eyes, to be honest.
And here you see the Polish Stadium here in Assetto Corsa. You see the fireworks in the background. We have the first finals battles. The final 4. Darius Austriaca versus Daniel Andrev. Darius the Don Austriaca is absolutely an animal, but so is Andrev. Andrev is ready to sink his teeth into the competition. Waiting for the lights from these 2 drivers. Winner moves on to the battle of first and second place. And just because you lose doesn't mean you can't get a podium spot. Here's Darius the Don Austriaca. Look at Andrev right off the rip, snap into initiation, right to the door of Darius the Don Austriaca as he hits interclip 1. Interclip 2 is beautiful. Transition. Andrev is getting right there to the door of Darius the Don Austriaca as they're going to outer zone 2. Outer zone 3 is beautifully filled out. Bumper to bumper transition. A huge mistake from Andrev. A huge correction in the chase. But then going to the final 2 outer zones, he's able to stick it back to the door of Austriaca.
This was an incredible chase run. Immediately initiates and gets right onto his door and up against the wall. You can see a little bit of wavering. He's just trying to nudge himself to match that angle. He clears the bumper on this transition and surges once again. He looks to stick the landing, wavers a little bit, and then we see him recommit with that surge. And then as they come to this transition once again, this is the master class right here. Slow on that bumper transition, sacrifices a little bit of angle, and then he's able to magnetize himself right there to his door across the line. Austriaca has his work cut out for him.
All right, we got the second half of this battle. There's Don Austriaca in the chase, and Andrev in the lead, getting right to the outer wall of outer zone 1. A little midline to inner clip 1. Inner clip 2 is good. Going to outer zone 2. Here's Darius the Don Austriaca, now trying to reel him in. A little bit of wavering in the chase, but able to match the angle now. Going to outer zone 3, and then transitioning to outer zone 4. There's Darius getting right to the door of Daniel Andrev as they're finishing off the lap and getting absolutely beautiful angle.
I don't know if it's going to be enough, but let's break down this run. Austriaca doing initiation right here. He takes a little bit more time to get on the door. Andrev doing a great job transitioning, getting really close to the wall once again. Austriaca stepping back a little bit here. He needs to keep closer if he wants to be able to move on and for the judges to favor him as they transition, clearing that bumper, doing a great job cutting the line to again get reeled in. Here he starts to keep his composure and get the proximity, and he's a lot closer to where he needs to be. Definitely some mistakes, or not mistakes, but things that both drivers could for sure work on compared to the runs that we've seen. And it really is just splitting hairs at this point. But the judges may have enough to pick a winner.
Right for Andrev, left for Austriaca. The winner moves on to battle of first and second place. Now I bet you it's going to be a BMW. A blue one at that. Oh, Andrev's aggressive chase was insane. And I want to thank the sponsors here at Virtual Drift Masters, Strom Wheels, Money, and Ragnar Simulators for bringing this whole series together. It's been absolutely fantastic. And the judges and the staff that has been helping out has been absolutely stellar. I love it. And it looks like it's a one more time here at the finals at Poland. Wow.
I gotta say, I agree with the call. I would much rather see these guys go one more time and differentiate themselves in a much more definitive way. Both of them had things that could have worked on. We also know both drivers are capable of a whole lot more. So to see them go one more time, I think even as the drivers, you've got to be happy that there's one more chance, because this is the finals. Ultimately, whether you get knocked out or continue in the competition at Final Four, you want it to be runs that you can say you truly gave your all in. That way you're either deserving of being knocked out or deserving of moving forward.
And here we go. Darius is now in the lead again. Andrev is in the chase. Darius coming in with a big initiation. Look at Andrev surging into the pocket and getting right to the door yet again, giving him room on the transition. Transitioning to the outer zone 2. Beautiful fill out. And now a surge of proximity right there. And then on outer zone 2, going to outer zone 3, beautiful. And going into the final 2 outer zones. Absolutely diabolical from the young buck Andrev against Darius the Don Austriaca.
Definite improvements to be observed here as we see them come through this first corner, immediately glued to his doors. Andrev, we knew that immediately he was a much better chase in that previous run, at least for the start of the run, barely clearing the bumper as he looks to make those surges and continue entering each section, starting off on Austriaca's door and then going with the approach of just looking to maintain that surge as soon as he lands it. Again, transitioning right here, we can see that tire getting closer and closer to the door. Austriaca is in trouble if he does not play a much more aggressive chase.
Here we go. The second half of this battle. Andrev in the lead now, coming in with a very aggressive initiation. And look at Darius. A little bit forward in the line, but able to reel himself back in, getting back in the pocket. Now transitioning to inner clip 1 and 2 is good. Going to the second outer zone. Great fill out. And Austriaca is giving him some room, so he's able to get this transition bumper to bumper like he always does. A little bit further behind, late transition, going to the final 2 outer zones, but able to reel him back in. Daniel Andrev doing a great job in the lead.
Let's take a look at this. So we see that aggressive surge there, a little bit of a correction as they come into that first corner, and then we see this transition. It looked like he clipped through his bumper. We didn't see any collision on the physics there. And then we see him looking to close this gap. The judges may have an ability to pick a winner here, but I would not want to be the one in that position. As we see Austriaca right here, he drops a little bit back, and then he has to get in. I think here, Andrev, am I saying this right? Andrev? I think I'm getting a little bit tongue-tied, but we see him immediately make an aggressive initiation. And Andrev, I think, at one point, that correction was probably one of the bigger corrections we've seen between both runs. So I'm curious to know how heavily the judges will weigh that correction against the difference in proximity between the two. Because at this point, none of them are making major mistakes that change the attitude of the car. It's most of the cars are, I mean, the runs are that they're smooth, they're steady, they're making their way through the course, but a clear correction is a miscalculation and losing control of the car ultimately. And I think they're going to potentially walk away the winner, but we could go double one more time, and it would not be the first time we've seen that in this competition either.
And Daniel Andreev gets the win and moves on to the battle of first and second place. There's a little bit of contact on interclip 1 and 2. And here is the next battle here. Yeah, Warren and Zaku Sully. I see the dono. At least Tiny needs one after this, after all this yelling. It's so funny. Here we go. Warren in the lead. Zaku Sullivan in the chase. Zaku Sullivan gonna be chasing down that Mercedes. He's our points leader currently in the season. He still has to battle it out for the points. Here he goes. Warren coming in with a nice initiation going to that first zone. Zaku Sullivan matching angle. A little bit forward on line, but able to reel him in. Transitioning to interclip 1 and 2 is beautiful. Zaku Sullivan surges a little bit forward, cheating the line a little bit, trying to dive in. Stay right there on the pocket of that Mercedes as they're going to outer zone 3. Transitioning to outer zone 4 and 5. Man, oh man, Warren absolutely stellar. But look at Zaku Sullivan being able to sink his teeth on the competition.
I think Jaku Sullivan has been paying very close attention to what the competition has been so far, and we can see that Warren has been an aggressive lead and chase, and we had a little bit of a kerfuffle on the replay there, but O'Sullivan did a great job rising to the occasion. He understands how Warren has been driving the entire rest of the day. Now Warren's in that chase position, so we will see what he's going to make of it, and if we're going to get some more of that crazy chasing we saw earlier, and what the implication is going to be for that on O'Sullivan.
Here we go. Warren is in the chase. Zaku Sullivan in the lead. Coming in with a beautiful initiation from Zach. But look at Warren sticking it to the door of Zaku Sullivan. Knowing that he is the points leader, he wants to knock him out of the chase and able to dive right back into the pocket. And then sticking it to his door. A little bit of contact made on outer zone 2. Zaku Sullivan is able to fight through, going to outer zone 3. Beautiful fill out on outer zone 4 and 5 from Zaku Sullivan, and a huge surge from Warren.
Incredible, almost bullying here from Warren as he comes diving into the outside zone here. We see him immediately try to get closer to O'Sullivan. O'Sullivan doing a good job receiving contact from Warren without actually losing any control or allowing it to affect his car. He attempts to be a good athlete, just staying in the throttle. We see that one tap right there, push O'Sullivan into the wall. I got to imagine that at that point negatively affects Warren in the judge's eyes. But right here we see him try to double down and commit again, looking to make a little bit of a nudge on O'Sullivan. And he does a great job just following him across the line. But Warren's aggression has always paid off well for him in the past. This time around, it may be consequential.
Here we go. Slider left for Warren and slider right for Zaku Sullivan. And Zaku Sullivan gets the win and moves on to the battle of first and second place. Now it's Andreev versus Zach, and Austriaca versus Warren. Wow.
An incredible drive by O'Sullivan. He 100% deserves to continue moving forward. I think right there he was sweating a little bit because Warren has been doing a tremendous job all day today. And then I think just in a moment of weakness, Warren, bit off more than he could chew with the aggressive driving. And now we've got our final A and our final B shaping up.
I just got news. The final A, Zach O'Sullivan and Andrev. Whoever wins the whole season.
Wow. Andrev versus O'Sullivan.
Jeez. This has been a poetic season. It's been absolutely crazy. Zach O'Sullivan fighting to get back to the top, and then also trying to keep that commanding lead the whole time. And these guys have been battling out all season. This is insane. But first, we have a battle for third place.
Getting excited. May have to fire off at the hip a little bit. It's getting hard not to.
Man, this is a Wild West duel now. Warren in the lead. Austria in the chase. The winner moves on and gets third place. And Warren comes in with the black smoke diesel engine Mercedes going through that first outer zone. Interclip 1 is good. Interclip 2 is fantastic. Austria able to dive right back into the pocket. It looks like a correction going into outer zone 2 and now going into outer zone 3. Beautiful fill out, transitioning to the final 2 outer zones. Darius the Don Austria diving right back into the pocket of that Mercedes as they're finishing off the lap. Oh my goodness. Austria angled up, slowed himself down at the end.
Austria did a great job adjusting where he needed to, but Warren is looking to do what he can here to secure himself at least on a podium spot. He got involved in this, trying to get first place, and then now he's got to try and lock himself into the podium. We see Austria do a little tap of Warren's bumper right there on transition, and then Warren right here always doing the move that has us from the other camera. Little concern, he gets the full rotation here. This is where most drivers, if they commit to that much angle on that transition, will end up backing into the wall. Austria also making that final move to put himself parallel to Warren and across the line.
Here we go. Warren now chasing down Darius Don Austria as Darius comes in with that BMW, lighting off the tires on that first outer zone, but Warren is trying to reel in that speed, trying to get Darius right there. And look at Warren transitioning in the inner clips and then able to dive into the pocket of Darius Don Austria. Darius is able to use the speed and momentum of his car. It looks like Warren, compared to other drivers, is struggling to keep that proximity alive compared to the other drivers, and Darius is able to complete a clean lead lap.
He does a good job right here, Austria, putting himself where he needs to put down a solid lead run and at least make this one look really good in the judges' eyes. Warren doing a good job on transition. He gets the full lock right here, and then he tries to start reeling in. It takes him a little bit of time right here. He has to wait until he gets to the end of the setup for the transition across the track. He starts to surge right here, and then he gets up on Austria's door, and then as they come across the line, he falls back, and then he just keeps moving back and forth. Austria might have had the closer chase run, and Austria did an awesome job on that lead. The judges definitely should have enough mistakes to count here to pick a winner. If it goes one more time, I just have to imagine they weighed equal fault on how many things that both drivers did in error.
Oh man. Slide it left for Warren and slide it right for Austria. Warren has been an animal throughout the series. An absolute animal.
They got very different driving styles too. Like Austria is a little bit more cautious, but he'll get into the same position. Warren really lets it all hang out. It reminds me very much of like how kind of Chelsea DeNofa drove. And there you go.
And Warren is the win. Oh my God, I'm super excited. Sorry, Alec. I'm sorry. I got super pumped for that. I was unfazed. You were talking about Chelsea DeNofa. I've been drinking energy drinks and hyped up because this battle's been crazy.
Well, now things are about to get even crazier going into our final, guys. This is for the title of champion of the online Drift Masters virtual series. It has come down throughout the entire series, every single round. every single result for these two drivers had led them right here, where the winner of this battle not only wins this round, but they win the championship. So the stage is set, the drivers are ready, and they're both going to need to take a deep breath, lock in, and make sure that they touch on every single thing they know they can maneuver around this course to make themselves look good in the eyes of the judges.
Zach O'Sullivan in the lead. Andrev in the chase. The winner wins the whole series. Zach O'Sullivan coming in with that BMW red with the American flag up top, coming into that first out of zone. Look at Andrev sticking it to the door of Zach O'Sullivan, going into his first center clip. Great fill out. Andrev is reading him correctly as he is diving into the pocket every time, going to outer zone 2. Zach O'Sullivan is able to keep those tires lit off as they're going to outer zone 3. Smoke screen engaged, transitioning to outer zone 4, the final 2 outer zones, as Andrev, the young buck here, is trying to knock off the champion here on the first lap.
Just look at that proximity gained by Andrev on O'Sullivan as they come across this course. Immediately locks in to his door. He's coming around the inside, makes his way into these clips, gives him just enough room to transition. As he comes onto this outside zone, he immediately matches O'Sullivan's angle, and then on top of that is able to reel him in. Look at that. His tires touching the door. O'Sullivan doing a great job on the lead, though, putting that car everywhere it needs to be. And Andrev coming across this zone, just wheeling him in, getting really close, matching his angle, and I don't care. I'm saying it. He was on him like Brexit on the world news, like the implications on boats, like just stop oil protesters on F1 tracks and everybody's nerves, like baby oil on Pete Diddy. He was all over him, and now there's only one run left to announce who's going to be your new champion.
Here we go. Andrev is now in the lead. Zach O'Sullivan in the chase. The winner moves on, gets the championship title. Andrev is able to hit that first outer zone, but look at Zach O'Sullivan matching the angle. Transition is buttery smooth, going to the final, or the first inner clips, and then going to outer zone 2. Beautiful fill out, and now going to outer zone 3, and now transitioning into the final 2 outer zones. Zach O'Sullivan sucks right into the door of Andrev as they're going to the final outer zones here in Poland.
This is it. This is where the judges are going to have to differentiate. This is going to either be a one more time or we have our champion. Look at this. Andrev transitioning a little bit of a tap right there from O'Sullivan, and it sets him up to grab a little bit too much angle, but he plants himself at the end of all that drama right there on the door. As they come through the transition, they end up out wide. Andrev and O'Sullivan right there. O'Sullivan clipping into Andrev's car. Extremely aggressive, and then even the corrections that were made, the mistakes that were made, ended up recovering him right on the door, probably being some of the most advantageous mistakes I've ever seen. Could probably claim ownership for it, honestly. I meant to do that because look how it panned out. The judges have to either make a decision or let them go one more time to differentiate, and there's a lot of weight on the judges in this case too. Of any situation to not want to have to make the decision, these judges have to understand that this is a paid series. The winner gets a cash prize, not just for the round, but for the championship, plus a VIP experience at the finals of Drift Masters IRL. So they need to be very careful how they dissect these runs, that it's something they could get behind.
Look at that. The sim cams 2 on for the final. And
you can see the pressure
we're gonna
there,
see
too,
excitement.
The hands.
Yeah.
The anxiety's going, the heart rates are up. And once
man.
again, everybody who's watching, if you've been with us the whole series, thank you so much for supporting. The more people watch, the more intense these moments become, the bigger these prizes get, and the more competition is going to continue to just lead to moments just like this. This is what we do this for. These drivers are driving at home, in their rooms on sim rigs, in a situation where there's now a cash prize, notoriety, bragging rights, all on the table. And it comes down to this moment for the judges.
Slide it left for Zach. Slide it right for Andrev. And I want to thank the sponsors here. Strum Wheels, Money, Ragnar Simulators for the virtual series, and all the people that put this all together to make this happen. Man, oh man. Looking at the layout here. If you guys haven't followed the Discord and checked out the Discord, that's how you could get into the wildcard series. But you got these 2 drivers here sitting anxiously, waiting. These guys are just... This is the longest wait they've probably ever had in their life. Especially with this prize pool.
And not a good sign either for the judges taking this long. It means it is really coming down to the wire on what they can pull apart on these runs. And it's just one less mistake than what someone else made. And
Andrev gets the win! Let's go! Insane! Holy smokes!
A big moment for Andrev, a big moment for Drift Masters, and a great moment for sim racers anywhere. This has become one of the most legitimate drift series to exist for the platform of Assetto Corsa and for drift fans everywhere. And we have had a tremendous year, tremendous championship with talent from all over the world to come here and differentiate themselves on a global stage that we hope to only grow with bigger support, better talent, and bigger events and cash prizes. And this has been 100% worth it for the staff involved, for the drivers involved, for Tiny and myself. This is exactly what it all comes down to, is moments like this. We got the virtual fireworks going off in the background. I mean, Tiny, this is what it's all about.
Man, I haven't been at the edge of my seat in such a long time. Actually, I would say when we've commented in real life competitions, I've really gotten the edge of my seat because of how exciting it gets. But this one, it was down to the wire. It's not like how it is on some other competitions where it's like, oh, the previous round, we already know who's the champion. We had it to the last battle where Andrev gets the win and hits the season standings. Alec, that was insane, especially as your first year sim commentating in a series like this. How are you feeling, man?
Yeah, I mean, my background, for those who don't know me, having competed in drifting since I was about 15 years old, I'm almost like 30 now, I'm about to turn 30 this year, and being able to do the commentating in real life and just being friends with so many drivers, being around this sport for such a long time. I remember, having this kind of a platform and ability to drive in a virtual sense without having to spend thousands to go to a track. Getting it to this level is still such in its infancy. A lot of other platforms and motorsports have had things like iRacing for a long time. Everything is catered to circuit racers, but I remember growing up and having like Gran Turismo and Forza, and that being just about it. And now, looking at our final point standings, these are all people who are driving in a realistic physics environment. Andrev finishing out the series with 518 points. Sullivan 489. This was the differentiator in that battle. And then Hines wrapping up third place at 384, and Isaiah only at 360 right behind him. So even his performance today was completely dictated of where he was going to end up in the overall championship. So, being able to appreciate that things come down to the same aspects as real life, and that this can all be done from the comfort of your home in a way that's just as exciting. We had a lot to prove as a series to be able to pull this off, and the drivers did as well. And I think their hearts were pumping just as much as these athletes that compete in real life.
Yeah, it was insane, especially this is the year where we first incorporated the sim cams, and for the final battle, like some of the people were saying this was scripted. This is totally not scripted at all. These guys have been working hard to get to the top, and honestly, the sim cans of the reaction of these drivers of winning is insane. So we're gonna have an interview with our champion, with Rose, and we're taking her away.
Is our round 7 winner and our championship winner, Daniel Andrev. Daniel, a massive congratulations to you. How are you feeling right now?
I'm really feeling very confused because I made it. I did it because in the first round I thought that this season is born for me, but that happened. I really took my goal.
You did, and we spoke 3 rounds ago, and I asked you, what's your goal? And you said, Rose, I want to win the championship. And you've done what you said you were going to do. So you really, really need to be very proud of yourself, Daniel.
Yeah.
Yeah. And look, Daniel, what's been the highlight of the season for you? Has it been progress or growth?
My highlight with my teammate Vitali Saev, we when meeting well with doing amazing battles, very aggressive, very nice battles. So that's my highlight, I guess. All
That's
battles with Vitali.
All battles, okay. And Daniel, what are you going to focus on now that the season is over?
Prepare for next season.
Next season, okay, already. That's
Yeah.
really good. Brilliant. Okay, and then one last thing, Daniel. Is there any messages you want to share with your fans, sponsors, spectators?
Well, thanks guys who is supporting me, watching me, how I'm driving. Really appreciate that. So thank you.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much, Daniel, and congratulations again, and we'll see you next season.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Oh man, that young kid being able to now has to plan on this trip to Poland for the event, this series. If you were in that seat, how would you feel? Just being, we're older guys, we're 30 years old, and just not realizing.
I have to imagine, when I was a kid and there was situations where I just got to first do that transition from like video games to real life, and I got to notice kind of just like how much it really helps. I did not have tools like what Assetto Corsa is, and for drivers in this series, I think we even saw in the comments, get that person in a real car. And we've seen a couple times where people, even locally where I live, there's been plenty of drivers in my local drift scene where they do Assetto Corsa and they move into a real chassis, and it really does help a lot. But at the end of the day, for those who have, trouble in their position, whether it's financial or just accessibility to end up in those positions, we're in an age where people are starting to pay more attention to sim racers, and real teams are starting to look that direction. We've seen this with drivers who have won the GT Academy for Gran Turismo. We've seen this with Max Verstappen and F1 now having an entire team of his own dedicated towards getting real life sim racers in cars and on real tracks, and even with NASCAR team doing that. So incredible kid, incredible driving. I think 100% if this series continues to grow, we may very well see him continue to branch off from this series, and that'd be the ultimate goal, I think.
Yeah, for sure. But now we have our next interview here is Alan Hines and Zach O'Sullivan with Rose Penelope. Rose?
Overall, Zach O'Sullivan and Alan Hines. Alan, jumping over to you first. Congratulations, third place. How are you feeling?
Yeah, well, I suppose a third of the championship, Rose.
Sorry, exactly. Yeah, sorry.
Look, today's result was not what I was hoping for, to be honest with you. I felt really good earlier in battles. I think we had probably the strongest lead run of the day. I think Yuna was probably pretty close to us. I really enjoyed, during practice, anyone who scored in the top 4 in qualifying, they were an absolute joy to chase. So it's a credit to Zach and obviously Yuna for doing such great lead runs as well. It was a pleasure to drive with Yuna in practice, and obviously Zach as well. But we didn't get that far today. I feel like I didn't get that far today. I was quite disappointed in my chase run there. I don't know what happened. I don't know why. Still don't know why the team reran that run. I felt like it was my best initiation, but looking back on the stream, it looks like I had 2 Carlins on Daniel too. So I don't know. That's kind of disappointing, to be honest with you. It was kind of frustrating. I didn't know how to approach it after that, and I don't think my lead run after that was the strongest. And in the chase run, I hit Daniel in the transition there, and I do think he tapped me wide coming into inner zone 2 or inner zone 1, which I thought was more obvious at the time, but then looked back, it didn't look that obvious, and I was hemming and hawing, should I attack on the door or not? And I did, and I ended up hitting him down the straight, and I hit him on the transition. So whatever, it is what it is. Fairy tale story for Daniel and Zach. What a awesome finish for those two, and obviously Daniel taking home the win. Congrats to him. We will see you in Poland, obviously. So very excited for a few weeks ahead.
Brilliant. Okay, and then Alan, the highlight of the season or any regrets?
Not changing to the Mustang sooner. Yeah. The car is so much easier to drive in the S chassis. It's probably the best S chassis, I guess. As I said earlier, the S650. We had great momentum with it in VDC, as I said earlier in the year, and I don't know why I didn't carry that momentum into VDM. It was a big mistake. I do think there's a couple of things I could have improved on in my driving ability, but I had a lot of distractions during the summer. We obviously had some Drift Masters events previously, and obviously some other events. And I think VDM and especially other esports competitions, you have to put all your time in it. And I have to give credit to Daniel. I don't think I ever seen him not on the sim. And I think that's the kind of mentality and the time and dedication you need to give to it if you want to be a champion. And I think he deserved it. His chase driving today was fantastic. And I think we're going to have a very tough year with him again next season if he's continuing on with the pace he's at right now. So that's probably my biggest regret, probably not giving him enough time. But I guess, look, reality sets in. You've got life, you've got to balance everything. It's pretty difficult. And look, to be honest with you, in 2 weeks' time, I get to drive on the real track. So to be honest with you, I don't really care.
Exactly. Okay. You live and learn. So, Alan, any messages you want to share with fans, supporters?
Yeah, certainly so. Big shout out to everyone. Thank you so much for Virtual Drift Masters for the opportunity this year competing in VDM, and obviously giving me the opportunities to give wildcards into the Real Life Drift Masters. It's pretty cool that I have these opportunities. I don't really have the budget in the real world to be able to, devote that much time to the Real Life Drift Masters. So Virtual Drift Masters make it very easy for me, and make it a bit easier for me to get into the real life stuff. So a massive appreciation to those guys for giving me those opportunities, giving me the wild cards to get in there. And we've got 2 this year. Maybe we can get some more real life events next year and represent VDM. And hopefully everyone in chat here will support us in Real Life Drift Masters in a few weeks' time. It'd be great to see the support and hoping to see Daniel there as well in person and get to meet him for the first time as well. So very, very excited the times ahead. And looking forward to Poland.
For sure. Well, thank you so much, Alan. Congratulations again, and good luck next month in the finale in Poland. Now, Zach, jumping over to you.
Hello.
Hi, Zach. Massive congratulations to you as well. Second place overall in the championship. So how are you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good. A little bummed, to be honest, but I had like a weird mishap on that last battle with Daniel where on the first corner, if you go back and watch on the stream for those who are watching, I'm over here like pulling my shifter multiple times. I enter in second and I click third in the chase, like right on entry. And I have these haptic transducers on my rig that vibrate whenever you shift, so you feel it through the whole chassis. I never felt it click the next gear, so I thought I was still stuck in second, and I just kept shifting, and I think my shifter did some weird stuff, but I ended up in fourth. And usually run third the whole track, and fourth is a pretty long wheel speed. And I didn't even know I was in fourth. I didn't look down because I was so close to Daniel. I didn't want to hit him. So unfortunately, that happened. I'm going to have to go back and look at it, but I feel like it would have been good. And I think that might have substituted to that contact I had on Daniel. He did everything he needed to do, and he earned the championship fair and square. I mean, that kid can drive. He puts the time in. He's very talented. And this isn't one of those things in the real world where money can't buy skill. This is something you have to put time into, and everyone is James Dean. Every single driver you go against is James Dean. So you can't, every battle is like a finals, and it's very, very tough. So congrats to him. I wish I could have gave him a better final. I wish everyone could have seen a better final without some contact or something goofy. And hopefully next season it's better.
It's better. Okay, well, let's hope for that too, Zach. But quickly, how are you finding the level of competition this season compared to the previous season?
Really good. The last season, I didn't get to do a whole lot of the rounds because I was I spotted for Ryan Littoral and Formula Drift, so a lot of clashing dates. I wasn't able to make the events, but when I did show up, man, it was tough, and it made it a lot easier because we all used a car pack then. I believe so. I think it was last season we also used a car pack. I can't remember, but it was one of those things where the playing field was pretty even for the most part. But this season, this is the hardest sim driving I've ever had to do in competition, hands down, easily. Especially going against people like Ernastus and Daniel and those guys, and those dudes are just so good. They're so good. It's so hard. So it's really good, really high. And I'm hoping that next year it's just as hard because it makes us all better drivers when it is.
It does, exactly that. And then, Zach, is there any messages you want to share with your supporters, fans, sponsors, team?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, big thank you to FK Sim Solutions and Boundless Racing and SLR Speed for allowing me to train in real life as well at an efficient amount of seat time in my actual car, and it gets me prepared to drive on my sim and vice versa. And big thank you to Sim Magic for supporting me with my equipment and everything. And yeah, thanks to all those dudes, NRG, Prisma, and yeah, and big thanks to VDC for hooking us up with really nice cars to drive and good practice and experience to be able to compete this high at this level. So big thanks to all those people.
Brilliant. Some great shout outs there, Zach. Well, look, congratulations again, and we hope to see you back next season.
Thank you. Congrats, Daniel.
You're welcome.
And we'll see you next time.
Thanks, everybody. Okay, guys, over and out from me.
Wow. Zach Sullivan, a VDC driver, that just said that this competition is one of the hardest and strenuous kind of competitive arenas you have. So VDM wise, I'm super pumped for these guys. Alan, I'm happy to see you a wild card for Poland. And Zach, I'm super excited to see what he does in the future. Well, Rose, you have any closing words for the end of the season?
Well, first of all, you know, we give the drivers a lot of credit and everybody else, but I want to give you guys some credit because you really bring all the action to life. And thank you so much. The commentary today in particular has been, it has been very entertaining. So kudos to you both. And it's been a pleasure, you know, working alongside you this season.
Yeah, absolutely. Same with you and Tiny. You and I go way back doing this. I think for us, at some point, you know, it was us both trying to find our niche, and then from there, it just became fun to do this. So, you know, ultimately, I know you took off. You really wanted to be a commentator, announcer. You've done a tremendous job so far. You do a lot with your voice. I don't have the thunderous Zeus voice that you have, so I'm a little bit more of a little insect boy voice or whatever you would call it, but. You know, it's cool to come on here, and especially among the three of us. You know, I know Rose, you do sim racing. You know, Tiny, you do sim racing. I've done racing. It's the biggest part of doing these things as a team is all being fans. You know, like if we didn't love this, there's so much volunteer stuff that's involved. You know, for getting it on the line and getting to the next round. It's just as much fun as if we were competitors ourselves. So you can definitely feel that energy when we're all this excited to build something and create a stage, and it's been so much fun to just work with everyone involved. You guys too.
Agreed.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, we've been doing this. We're commentating with each other for what 3 or 4 years now, Alec. And we started off on the sim, and it's funny because it went from sim commentating, and I love doing this and getting these guys the story, to real life doing it, and now you guys hear me sounding like a countryman for some videos, and even the drift games thinking I'm an AI, which is even funnier. But I wanted, and we're gonna be looking into what's going on for the last round in Poland. The last round in Poland is in 2 weeks' time. So if you guys don't have your tickets here, pick it up at the Drift Masters website. Also with the merch, if you go on the website, you're going to use Poland as a code. You get a discount. And if you want anything VDM related, like news, check out VDM.gp, as well as go to Drift Masters website. Get your merch. There's clean merch. You got Rose right there rocking one of the t-shirts. I want to thank everybody here. It has been an absolute ride. We'll see you guys next year. First and foremost, too, I got to thank the sponsors, Strom Wheels, Money, Ragnar Simulators, for bringing this all together. So, with that being said, my name is Jonathan Tiny Jarboe. That's Alec. That's Rose. I hope you guys have a wonderful off season, and we'll catch you next year at round 1 of VDM GP.
Oh, the shadow tags the wall, almost throws it away as Hines backs it in across the line.
Unbelievable again. What a final. What a finish. Your 2024 champion.